transfer deadline day, and we are live. And big breaking news in the last half an hour. Arsenal and Raheem Sterling have agreed personal terms, and a deal between Chelsea and Arsenal is reported to be advancing. This is one that Arsenal could get over the line before the 11 p.m. cutoff time in 2.5 hours. We are here until the deadline passes. Of course, we're covering Chelsea's pursuit of Jadon Sancho, Chelsea's pursuit of Osimhen, plus reviewing the transfer windows of the Premier League teams as well. Do us a big favor and make sure you've smashed the like button. Make sure you are subscribing to the Football Terrace as well. Very, very important indeed that you get that done. Share this link across your social media platforms. Do all of that. Get it done now, my people, as there is loads to jump into. There is loads to talk about. And as already mentioned, there are some big deals pending. Some big deals pending across the Premier League tonight. We want your thoughts. We want your feelings. We're going to be bringing on the panel as well. And yes, I am good. Yes, I am good. Or is it someone says, damn, you have so many typos. What have I spelt wrong? Let me have a look at the title. Raheem Sterling to Arsenal. Oh, yeah, I have. That's because I'm a dyslexic. I can't help that. Agreement. Sancho to Chelsea, new bid. Osimhen to Chelsea, update. There's one. Everything else looks fine. Thank you for telling me that, though, my friend, in the comment section below. But yes, listen, I'm going to read this story out to you. I mean, there's loads to it. Arsenal are in talks with Chelsea to sign and sign and close before the end of the transfer window Raheem Sterling. Arsenal are now actively working on a move for the 29-year-old Chelsea attacker. If the deal is struck, personal terms will still need to be agreed. That was from Ornstein 34 minutes ago. Fabrizio Romano has just announced and just stated that the personal terms have been agreed. That is over the line. That is over the line, and that is done. Arsenal fans, how are you feeling about that? Let us know now in the comment section below. A lot of frustration and a lot of anger earlier on this evening. A lot of frustration and a lot of anger earlier on today when it came to this situation. Why have we not signed an attacker? We need someone with more goals, even if it's backup. Raheem Sterling, multiple Premier Leagues, multiple domestic trophies, 29 years of age, reportedly taking a big pay cut to become an Arsenal player. I want your thoughts. I want your feelings. I want your opinions in the comment section below right now. But personal terms, as already mentioned, have been agreed according to Fabrizio Romano. Chelsea want him out of the door. Arsenal seemingly want him. I don't know. I think this is good business. I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna put my neck on the line. Now, I know what people will say. No chance, Terry. It isn't good business. It's poor business. I'm going to say this now. I think Raheem depends on the price, depends on the salary. So when we find that out, we'll talk about it. But if he's coming in on 100 odd K a week, little loan with an option to buy or just a loan, I think he could be a success for Arsenal. I think he could score 15 goals this season in this Arsenal system. So pound for pound, this could be a really good piece of potent business. I am going to throw this out. I think Chelsea fans may end up regretting it by the end of the year, depending on how well he does for Arsenal. I think he'll be a good signing. Man United's situation is different. We need creators. That's not what he is. What Arsenal need is people putting the ball in the back of the net. And he has been in his career very good at it. If he was coming in on 350 grand a week, 50, 60 million pound transfer fee, I would concur that there is a problem with that deal. I would. I absolutely 110% would. However, that isn't the case. That isn't the situation. He's going to come in on a small amount of money. He's going to come in on a low wage. I believe there's not a lot of risks to it. Now, of course, I know you'd prefer Nico Williams, and it maybe doesn't take the sting away from not going after a player of that ilk. But I do believe it comes in as a backup. I do believe he's much better than Reiss Nelson. And he's going to score some goals for you. Even at Chelsea, where he's been considered a flop, he still scored a fair amount of goals. Imagine in this Arsenal team, in this Arsenal system, with a manager who he gets on very well with, that he likes and rates. Listen, I don't think, someone says it here, stopgap signing. And I think that's absolutely right. You can still be, this is the thing, you can still be critical as Arsenal fans for not getting a Nico Williams. I get it. I still think you could be also open-minded about this deal in isolation as well. Terry, it's a loan deal. Yeah, we need to see the makeup of this loan deal as well. Whatever we know now, I'm telling you, whatever we all think we know right now, it is going to change in the next couple of hours. We're going to be here, so make sure you stay with the Football Terrace. Get like buttons hit. Make sure you are subscribing as well. Someone said there's a problem with the poll. It's going to go it's going to go now and have a look. Oh, yeah, I did. I'm going to end the poll. We're going to start it again. I'm very sorry. I don't always see these spelling mistakes, you see. It's because I'm dyslexic. I'm going to do it again. Have you smashed, spelt that right, the like button? Yes, I already did it. Bro, I forgot, but did it now. So my son says now. He says no, and I will at the end. I think I spelled it all right. Have you smashed? There we go. New poll, people. And yes, everyone, hit the like. And by the way, Ali, we will be doing some calls. We will be taking some calls on the show tonight, getting some of the viewers on as well. So if someone who aspires to be part of the Football Terrace one day, get it done. But I'm not liking the lighting behind me. It's annoying me. Hang on. I don't like that either. Why is it green? Or yellow. Why is it green? Oh. I'm not a fan. That's better. That's better. My son comes in here and plays with the gels that I put over my lights. So sometimes I think like I'm ready. I turn it on. And then I'm like, he's fucking been in my office. There we go. Oh, look. Oh, AI is here. This is a great comment. I knew this shameless simpy plastic would spin it into a positive for Arsenal. He will spin shit into a positive for his beloved Arsenal. Need to catch him on the road. Proper pain. Listen, bruv. Do you want my work address? In fact, you can see my work address. Go onto Company's House and look at my company. My work address is on there. I'm there 3 or 4 times a week. Turn up whenever you want, and let's have that chat, bruv. My internet, my work address is on the internet. It's public information. Just search Snack Media. Whatever their address is where I work. It's where my studio is. Come down. Let's have a little chit chat. I dare you, bruv. Secondly, I'm not spinning it into a positive. If you listen to what I said, you numbskull, the first thing I stated was that I understand still being annoyed that you didn't get a Williams or an Isak or a Victor Ugarte. I think that's fair still. But depending upon the price, I think this could be a good deal for Arsenal. I think it could deliver a decent return. I also said that when Man United were linked to him, when the price was being discussed as quite low, I said, based on that information, it's an okay deal. So to suggest that I only do it for Arsenal and nobody else is a lie. Now, I don't know who your leader is, and there's probably a YouTuber that you idolize, like he's your father or like she's your mother, which is very strange indeed. But AI, I suppose that is meant to stand for artificial intelligence. The problem is that's offensive to intelligence because it just should be just you're artificial because you're not real. Not even a real name, bruv. You've been done. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished out here, bruv. Over the hill. Arsenal have addressed our problem areas for last season. Not exactly a bad window. Maybe next summer, Isak or Williams available. Big up Terry and TFT. Thank you very much, Anthony. But this is the thing. You are right. Obviously, Giuseppe's going to come on. I don't think I'm hard. I don't even think I'm tough. I'm not that way inclined. But trust me, if you want to come and have a chat, we'll have a chat. But I guarantee, I gave my address out to somebody before on Twitter that was giving it the big one. They did not show up ever. And some people, Terry, but he might come to your location and hurt you. No, trolls don't do that. You know, if somebody was a real serious person, I wouldn't give them my address. I also wouldn't give it. If somebody was serious and could hurt me, AI ain't going to do anything, bruv. Do you know what I mean? This man, how's he going to fight me when he still sucks on his mum's titty? Bitty. Oh, how's he going to fight me when he's still on the breast milk, bruv? How's that going to happen? Anyway, we're moving on. Oh, is he threatening to come on? Listen, AI. DM KJ on Twitter. I will get you the link if you want to show your face. But you have to show your face. And I bet you won't. I bet you won't. I bet you won't show your face. I'll even give you an appearance fee. How about that? I'll pay you to come on and abuse me. But Terry, he is a robot. This is true. He is true. Ooh, bitty. Yeah, there's a lot of weird guys out there. Sterling won more Premier Leagues than Arsenal. Has he won more Premier Leagues than Chelsea as well? I don't know. Is he won more than? He might have won the same as Chelsea. Have you just bantered yourself? Only Arsenal fans born after the 2000s will be satisfied, is what Shaq the Mysterious. Yeah, I mean, listen, I understand that. I still think that there is no need for absolute polarization. But look, we're going to bring the panel out now because there's lots to talk about. The Raheem Sterling news is obviously dominating the airways, but KJ is here with me. Guiseppe is here. Brandon's here. Sulz is here as well. I want to go to Guiseppe first. You were kind of calling for Raheem Sterling the other day if you weren't going after one of the bigger targets. 3 hours ago, we were live and it was stated that it was dusted and you weren't signing anybody else, but you've now agreed personal terms. You're advancing the deal. Give us your thoughts, mate.
Yeah, today's been just a shocker for Arsenal, ain't it? The Moreno news, even the Neto news that he's cup tied, being a cup keeper and then he's cup tied. Even that's a bit of a joke. But listen, the Sterling news in isolation, I don't mind. We can't get Nico Williams. I've said it. If Nico Williams is the main guy and we're going to go for him in the summer, a stopgap signing of Sterling in isolation isn't bad, right? But the problem is, why are we not bringing in a striker? I've said that I wouldn't mind the Sterling signing if he comes alongside a striker, if he comes alongside another attacking player. Him being the solo attacking player for me is not good enough. It just shows that Arsenal haven't really look. I'm watching Tony go for like 35 million, 40 million to Saudi, and I'm just thinking, why are you not getting him? Like, I know there might be other reasons to not get him, but I'm seeing all these deals and I'm thinking, why? We haven't spent money. I can't understand. Like, this is the problem. Edu has come out and said stuff about be excited. I hate this phrase around Arsenal, this be excited thing.
Well, he didn't technically say that, but yeah.
But regardless if he did or didn't say that, if we have FFP issues or we have financial issues, then at the start of the window, come out and say, we have financial issues. We're not really going to sign this summer. Not that you lead people on, saying you want Nico Williams. So what? If Nico Williams said, yeah, I'm happy to come to Arsenal, have we got the money to sign him or not? Because if we do, that means we could have signed someone else in the attack. The thing that I find incompetent and the thing that infuriates me the most is I'm not a big fan of Fabio Vieira or Eddie Nketiah, but you're letting these guys go. Emil Smith-Rowe. You're letting these guys go, and now I'm seeing our front line, and I'm saying it looks really light. Now, all of a sudden, I'm thinking, well, if we ain't getting a striker, and that means our only striker is Jesus, Havertz, and then people are saying, but Trossard can go up front. Okay, so why did we sell Smith-Rowe? Because Smith-Rowe can play on the left. So then there is obviously a space in this team this season now for Emil Smith-Rowe. Why did we then sell him? I was happy with these sales because I was under the assumption that these sales meant players coming in to replace them. You've sold a striker in Eddie and you haven't replaced him. We've got Jesus that's already injured 2 games into the season. Yeah, now we've got, and apparently we're listening to offers right now of Reiss Nelson. I know teams are interested. I don't know if we're actually going to take that. We can't. But I'm looking at our team now and I'm seeing 2 players per position up top. I'm seeing 2 players per position in our whole midfield and attack. It's not good enough, in my opinion. I think we've left ourselves short. I think we're playing a dangerous game. I think we're playing a real dangerous game. When you're facing a team like Man City, people are like, but Man City haven't got as much depth as you'd think. But Man City have won 4 Premier Leagues out of the last 4. These guys can take the risk, because if they don't win a Premier League, it ain't the end of the world. If we don't win another Premier League, then it's not looking great for us. You know, so for me, I think we needed to really make a statement this summer. Yeah, definitely that. I'd argue that if you look at the 2 transfer windows, you can argue that Man City have had a better transfer window now, because they bought in Savio and they've bought back Gundogan. And if you put him next to Raheem Sterling, if we sign him, and Moreno, I'd say their window's better. Okay, we bought in Calafiori. But that's, once again, that's another thing that I look at and I think, was that the right decision from Arsenal Football Club if money is an issue? Because Calafiori is a great signing, but he's not as needed as an attacker, because we got Timber back this season. He's not, for me, he weren't as important as bringing in an attacking player. So if you're telling me it's a money issue, that means you've been incompetent early in the window and bought a signing that maybe should have been a later on signing in a defender. But we'll have to wait and see. But the Raheem Sterling signing's all right at this point. I feel like Arsenal fans just want anything. But I think he could be better than what people think. I think he's someone to come off the bench. Definitely, if he's on 350k, I'm just going to put that out there. He's going to have to take a big paid deduction for me to make it out to seem like a good signing. But I think he's better than Reiss Nelson off the bench. So it's okay as a stopgap. But once again, I don't want to sit here and say this will maybe prove right next season if we sign Nico Williams, because I'm sick of that. I'm sick of Arsenal being this team of next season this, next season that. I've been calm this whole transfer window. I've come on here, Terry, and I've said to you, I don't know why Arsenal fans are breaking down. I'll give my opinion come the end of the transfer window, and that's when I'll give my honest thoughts. And I'm going to be honest. Right now, as of right now, the transfer window is a 2 out of 10. If we sign Raheem Sterling, maybe I can give it maybe a 4. That is the max I can even put it at if we sign Raheem Sterling, because in my opinion, we haven't got the striker that we need. And Raheem Sterling as a winger isn't what I would. If we got Nico Williams, that could have brought it up to a 7 window. But with it being Raheem Sterling, I still think it could work, but it has to be a 4. Like, I'm really disappointed in Arsenal and Edu.
Yeah. Just a quick update from Sammy McBell. He says here that Arsenal are making swift progress with a loan for Raheem Sterling. Some optimism now from the Emirates that an agreement is within reach. Brandon, you're bringing in the ex-Liverpool, ex-City, ex-Chelsea attacker to complete your window. You look fuming, bruv.
Woohoo. So exciting, Tell. No, I am fuming. I'm absolutely livid with the way that this transfer window's gone. Yeah, imagine this. We finished 2 points behind Manchester City.
Sorry, breaking news. You were right, Giuseppe. Exclusive from Fabrizio. Ipswich Town are in advanced talks with Arsenal to sign Reiss Nelson on loan. So that opens up the door for Raheem Sterling to come in. So he's not the Eddie Nketiah cover. He is going to be the replacement for Reiss Nelson. That's just now from Fabrizio.
So he ain't even the Vieira cover.
No. Yeah, Vieira's gone as well, isn't he? Yeah.
And this is what I mean. This football club in a nutshell, guys. I'm sorry. I am livid with the way that this transfer window has gone. How can you finish 2 points behind Man City last season and not go out there and make a statement in this window? How can you not do that? This transfer window stinks. Absolutely stinks of everything that I thought I knew about Arsenal and Stan Kroenke in the first place. Right? We are not serious. We don't want to win things. We're happy with top 4. That's all they care about. And this squad is more than capable of finishing in the top 4 for the next 5 years. If we was a serious football club, and this isn't just Arsenal, right? This is Liverpool as well. Liverpool being a disgrace in this transfer window as well. But, you know, if we're that serious about going out and winning stuff, we should have addressed all areas of the pitch that needed addressing, number 1. And we all said at the end of the last season that a forward, a striker was a priority, right? Now, I don't know if my eyes were deceiving me or not, right? So I did a little bit of research. I went back and I watched the games that Arsenal lost in the league last season. We lost 5 games. In 4 of them games, right, in 3 in particular, Aston Villa, Fulham, and West Ham, Zinchenko was culpable for us losing them games in terms of his defending, right? We've gone out in the window, we've addressed that, we've brought in Calafiori. Fine, not a problem. However, in the first half of every single one of them games, how many opportunities did Arsenal miss? How many opportunities did Arsenal miss in the first half to go ahead and then change the game completely? If we score against West Ham in the 36 opportunities that we had in that first half, maybe it's a different game. Same for Aston Villa. Maybe it's a different game. So what I'm looking at is we need a killer up front. That's pretty much obvious. And now we're pinning our hopes on Raheem Sterling, a guy who needs 500 million chances to score. A guy also, by the way, who, once again, is a former Manchester City player. So hang on. So we're going out, we're going to buy or loan another former Man City player to try and beat Pep Guardiola to a league title. Yeah, because that makes sense, doesn't it? And that's really working out for us really well, isn't it? You know, Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko have, you know, they've come in, they've elevated us, you know, and we're winning trophies now that they're here. Do me a favour, will you? Yeah? All because Arsenal are going out now, doing this panic buy crap. Oh, Sterling's available. Let's go get him. Doesn't make the transfer window any better. Yeah? Raheem Sterling, what can I say? He's a better option off the bench than Eddie Nketiah and Reiss Nelson. Yeah? He will cause problems out wide. Is he the killer in front of goal that Arsenal need? No.
I get that. Yeah.
You know, midfield. Let's go to midfield now because this is just typical Arsenal all over as well. We signed Mikel Merino. He's fractured his shoulder in training today. First training session, he's out injured already. Typical Arsenal. Typical Arsenal, right?
Can I just say on that, you have to blame Matt, who used to be on the football terrace, because he laughed out loud and started mocking Man United when Lenny Yoro got injured. And I remember saying to him in the group chat at the time, you are tempting fate there, my brother. That's why, for me, whether people believe in karma, fate, or being punished by a separate entity, that's why I don't ever laugh at another club's misfortune, because I feel like you bring that heat on yourself. But sorry, mate, back to you.
No, we got it all wrong, Tel. You know, the priority should have been a forward in this transfer window. I'm sorry. You know, I get it. We went out, we addressed the defensive situation with Zinchenko, you know, but we already had Timber there to come back anyway. So Calafiori was never a priority signing. For some reason, this football club seems to think he is. I'm not being funny, right? I don't want to, because people think that I'm always on the case of the manager, and I am on the case of the manager, and I definitely am going to be on the case of the manager this season because he has to win a trophy, right? But in my opinion, the board, the owners, and the hierarchy are the ones that have let him down in this transfer window, right? Mikel Arteta has bled everything out of them players that he could possibly bleed out of them players. We finished 2 points behind all singing, all dancing Manchester City that have won, you know, up until last season, 3 Premier League titles in a row, right? Nobody can get near them apart from Liverpool, you know, back when they signed Van Dijk and all that about 4 or 5 years ago, right? You've got to back him in this window. You've got to go out there and go 150 mil. But again, we're hearing the excuses, Tel, and this is what annoys me more than anything with Arsenal, and this is why I say I know what Arsenal Football Club is now. I know that we are just happy with top 4 and that's it, right? Because every single time that Arsenal are supposed to go out there and throw the kitchen sink at it, we're too busy, balancing the books every fucking time, bro. Yeah? Remember that year that Arsenal could have won the league title and we went out and signed Petr Cech and only Petr Cech? Yeah? This reminds me of that. You know, once again, we're doing the same thing. Why? Because they're not interested in winning. They don't care about winning. This transfer window has been a disgrace. There should be P45s for every single one of the hierarchy members, including Edu, right? And banners should be back out, in my opinion, about the Kronkies. because they've let Mikel Arteta down. They've let him down massively. They've let the fans down as well. Yeah, the fans being the main thing in this football club, but also the fans let themselves down. Yeah, the fans let themselves down every year. Why? Because they gas up all these players all the time. You know, no doubt all them Arsenal fans that were out on Twitter earlier, you know, all the toxic positive ones that were giving it all oh, this window's been a disgrace. If we sign Raheem Sterling now before the 11 o'clock deadline, they'll be back out on Twitter again giving it all oh, what a signing. Oh, we're going to win the league. Do me a fucking favour, will you? Wake up, yeah? Wake up, smell the coffee, smell the roses. Manchester City will win the Premier League title once again, very comfortably, yeah? Because Arsenal haven't done enough. No other team in this league has done enough. And again, we're the poster boys for all this financial fair play, PSR rubbish. If it was an actual thing, this PSR and that, explain to me how Man United have gone out and spent 100 million plus. Explain to me how Chelsea have gone and done 100 million plus again. Explain to me how Brighton.
Well, I can tell you, I mean, I can tell you why. I can't talk for Arsenal's finances without looking into it a little bit more. However, Man United bring in £200 to £300 million a year more than you, so that's there. Chelsea have sold hotels, assets, and they're spreading their costs over like 8-year periods. And Brighton are spending this much because I think they've sold about £400 million of players in the last 2 years. However, where I agree with you is I still feel like I agree with you haven't done enough. I think Calafiori and Marino are good signings. It is a freak that he's broken his shoulder in the first training session. There's a freak accident. And I kind of get that with the signing of Raheem Sterling, all happening on the same day, it's going to annoy people. If he'd have gone on international duty, fallen over and broken his shoulder, it's an accident, right? But I do, and I don't even think Raheem Sterling in isolation is a bad squad player to bring in. But what I think is wrong from your board, and I don't think this would have been Arteta's choice, is they should have made almost a groundbreaking offer this week to try and sign Nico Williams, a groundbreaking offer to try and bring in a Ugarte or whoever it may be, because they are available. And you are this close to getting ahead of City. I would be disappointed in that if my club didn't do it. If in 3 years' time, Man United build a squad that's this close to winning, and we go into a summer and go, look, we need another good goal scorer and a couple of other players. If we end up doing nothing, I do get the frustration with that. I really, really do. I do get where you're coming from. Brandon, I'll come back to you in a minute, bro. I want to hear from Sulz for a moment. I'll come back to you. Go on, mate. Go on.
Even if we just brought in, let's say we went and got Ivan Toney today, right? I still wouldn't be happy with that because there is still glaring holes in the squad. When you look at the Odegaard situation, Arsenal are expected to play anywhere between 50 and 60 games this season. Are you telling me that Martin Odegaard isn't going to have a couple of stinkers this season? Of course he is. He can't play at his absolute best for 50 to 60 games. Are you also telling me that there's not a possibility that he'll get injured? And instead, what Arsenal have done, rather than going out and buying somebody who can come in and fulfill his role as well, bearing in mind that Martin Odegaard he's the key piece of the puzzle to Arsenal's press as well. He's the front man for that, right? Instead, we've let Fabio Vieira go, who I didn't rate anyway. That's fine, and we've let ESR go. So tell me, who's then going to come on the pitch and create for Arsenal if Martin Odegaard is not there? Somebody tell me that. If we're struggling and Martin Odegaard is having a stinker, he's just having a bad game, he's not creating enough for the forwards, and the forwards don't really create for themselves either, let's be honest. Havertz needs to be fed opportunities. Saka's the only one who really creates for himself. Martinelli needs the service as well as Havertz. So who else in this squad can create for Arsenal? Mikel Merino ain't going to do it. Declan Rice ain't going to do it. Thomas Partey ain't going to do it. Somebody explain to me, where's Martin Odegaard's backup?
Well, it looks like they're going to say it's Wanyeri, but then that's a 17-year-old boy.
I'm a 17-year-old kid in a title.
Can we stop this? You guys are the same fans. If they don't give Tani Nwaneri a minute, you're going to scream the house down. Oh, give the youngsters a chance. No. Stop it. I have seen comments, posts on Twitter about how we're so bad. We're losing all our youngsters. Manchester United is getting our top young goal scorer. Why? Because we're not giving a chance to the youngsters. We don't like Fabio Vieira. He's crap. He hasn't given us anything. We loan him out. Same fans complaining. We've gotten rid of Fabio Vieira. Who's backing him up? Oh, Emil Smith hasn't scored in 2 years. We sell him. Complain. Same fans. We talk about Eddie Nketiah. He's useless. He's not up to our standard. We've gotten rid of him. Same fans are complaining. Now you bring Nelson out. Nelson doesn't get game time. Now we have look at the first 11 and then look at the players that are going to come off the bench.
Yeah.
Our squad off the bench, even though it's thinner than last season, are stronger and better players off the bench.
Oh, do me a favor.
No. Yes or no. If you need to play somebody on the right wing and you take Bukayo Saka out and you bring on Gabriel Jesus from the bench, is he better than Reiss Nelson or not? Yes or no? I said, is Gabriel Jesus better than Reiss Nelson on the right?
He was here last season, Dayo. What's that?
No. My point is, if you look at the bench right now, as is before the window closes right now, if you take out, and you're talking about Odegaard. Odegaard, yes, is our creator, but it's not in every single game that you need a creator. In certain games, you don't need a creator in all 70 games. There are certain teams you play where you don't really need that profile of player, where you might need to play another style of play against them. So the idea that you think that you're going to pigeonhole a style of play for the team and our front line, let's be realistic. I said this earlier today. They're interchangeable. Leandro Trossard plays across the front three. So if Martinelli is firing up in the game, if Martinelli is playing very well, and you want to give Bukayo Saka a rest, you can still play Leandro Trossard on the right. So let's not act like these players they cannot be interchanged, and we cannot figure player management on how to make sure that the players don't burn out. Let's not do that.
Ask you something, right? Aston Villa, the game that we just played, right? It took Trossard to come off the bench before we started causing any problems, right? Yeah, because Martinelli wasn't doing it. Fine. Whose ball over the top was it to Trossard to get him in for that second goal? Martin Odegaard. Yeah, there's going to be team. This is where I disagree with you saying it's not every game we're going to need a creator. How many teams do you think is going to sit a low block behind against Arsenal this season? Because there was an awful lot of them last season. There's not many teams that are going to open up against us. And that's when you need your creative players like Martin Odegaard. And that's why.
How many teams in the EPL have a Martin Odegaard type of player? How many teams in the EPL? Ask yourself that question. Martin Odegaard is a rare type of player. We have a better one. So if you're looking for a backup for Odegaard, you're not going to find a backup for Odegaard like that because there's very few players who play like Martin Odegaard, who create like the way he creates. There's very few players in the world. So when you're talking about if Martin Odegaard is not playing well or he gets injured, who's going to back him up? The realistic truth is you mentioned another player that you would have had, that you would have liked us to sign, that can actually play in the Odegaard role, create just like Odegaard, in the same style, just like how Arsenal is used to. You mentioned one player. Mention the player's name. Yes. Give me a player that you would have liked us to sign that can be an Odegaard backup, that plays like Odegaard.
Oh, this is the thing. Like
there's none. You can't point at one.
No, but I'm not.
So why are we having this conversation?
Yes, we are having this conversation. Why am I even bringing it up? Because as I just pointed out, our front three, there is not a single player in our front three that creates for themselves apart from Bukayo Saka. Yeah? Odegaard, no, not Odegaard, sorry. Havertz needs service. Trossard needs service. Martinelli needs service. And we're already not struggling to score goals, but we're already struggling to create decent opportunities because that's what we struggle to do against Aston Villa, right? We're already struggling to create decent opportunities with Odegaard in the team. So, I'm looking at Mikel Merino. He's not that type of player. I'm looking at Thomas Partey. He's not that type of player. Jorginho, not that type of player. Declan Rice, not that type of player. So you tell me where the link is going to come from the midfield to the attack if Martin Odegaard's not there. And we're seriously saying here that we're going to rely on a 17-year-old kid? in a title
So,
race.
so,
But see,
Guys, what I want to do, sorry, please let me jump in because we will come back to this. We've got a long time left on this show. I want to throw that question out to the audience and the viewers to have their say. Am I bugging? I'm definitely bugging.
No, we can hear you.
No, you're not. We can hear you.
we can hear you.
Are you okay? Cool. Are you guys all disappeared off my screen? We're gonna. I want to throw it to the audience to answer that question. We're gonna come back to what you guys have got to say in a minute. I just want to go to some of the super chats that have come through. First one from Daniel says, "I'm sick of my own fans bitching like little girls. I'm sick to death of this crap every year. It's why we are a laughing stock as fans grow balls and grow up." That's what Daniel says. The ball over the top was from Gabriel, is what Adi says here. The Eminem dude can't stand having fans like it. Listen, but Brandon's allowed to express himself and give his honest opinion. Like, we're not going to shut it down just because people don't like it. Use
you don't
use
like
a little bit less bleach next time. I think the fumes have got to your head.
I've been right for 4 years. That's fine. You can. Been right for 4 years.
At least you haven't called anybody pussies tonight. That's a good start, Brad. Like, it's a good place to be in. It's a good place to be in. Sulz has been here a while. Sulz, what do you make of this decision? Just to give an update, just to give a where's it coming from? Just to give an update as well. The Reiss Nelson deal is nearly done. Everything's agreed pretty much now when it comes to Sterling. He's waiting for the permission to go and undergo his medical. So it feels like it's going to happen. How do you feel about it, Sulz? You're on.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Raheem Sterling, I'm actually really happy with him, content with the signing. I think for what we need is in terms of having this dual wing channel player who can actually create opportunities as well. Someone who's a little bit different to the Trossards and the Martinellis, who isn't going to be coming inside constantly. And I do think we need to bring someone who's a natural width player. And that's what Sterling's going to bring. He's going to bring bags of experience. He's going to bring someone who's been in a winning environment, which is part of the problem that we have. We have too many young players. And on the question that a lot of people are saying who's going to create, you do realize Thomas Partey has created a lot of opportunity and does line-breaking passes as well. Gabriel's done that. Saliba's done that. Now when we add someone like Raheem Sterling, that creativity can now be spread across those players. Now, the one thing that I do want to say, I do think it's gross misconduct from Edu for how he's handled things. And the reason why I say that is because of this. If you're going to make 3 outgoing attacking players, you've got to bring someone in. And the part that I don't understand is, how is this on the owners when the owners have made money available? They've never said to them that you have to sell to buy. And I know a lot of people are going to bring journalists into this, but the club's narrative was never that. Money was always available to spend. And we can see that because when we pivoted from Mudryk, where did that 50 million go from the Trossard pivot? Where did all of this money go? And then the idea that we didn't need Calafiori and Moreno as priorities, yes, we did, because one of the things that we complained about all season long was Kai Havertz playing on the left side. And one of the biggest things that we keep complaining about is Zinchenko being in the team. So what do? A guy that's had a season-long ACL injury. Oh, ACLs are a minor injury. They completely do not ever come back. Knee injuries are not a problem. They just miraculously go away and you never get injured again. So what do we do in those situations? So, of course, we needed to bring Calafiori in. And yes, it was a priority signing. Now, where we can disagree and where we can have a little bit of an open conversation is the false promises from Edu. My complete energy is going to go on getting Edu gone, because the minute he goes is when we see the club come back. The Kronkies are ambitious and want to win. But the question that's going to come to them is if they keep continuing to persist with Edu. The minute Edu goes, I feel like that's when we get the club back, because we've given this guy time and time and time again to rectify his mistakes. But time again, he can't get the deals done. Time again, he can't get things over the line. Arteta is green lighting these signings. How did Sesko re-sign a contract? I don't care who's advising him. Coming to Arsenal under Mikel Arteta, who has developed multiple players, Ben White, Aaron Ramsdale, Martin Odegaard, Bukayo Saka. You know, when you look at Gabriel Martinelli, granted he's going through a patch right now, but when we can see impacts from young players, Benjamin Sesko is not going there and saying, actually, I want to stay at RB Leipzig to develop, when he's got Mikel Arteta who has developed superstars. So I don't believe in the narrative. I just think we didn't want to offer him what he wanted. Now, there's certain players, even with the Nico Williams, we knew for a very, very, very long time his priority is to get to Barcelona. The only time we should have ever stepped in is if Barcelona's camp came out and said there is categorically no way in the near future or in the future we can sign Nico Williams. As long as that Barcelona moves on the table, it does not matter who you are. Real Madrid can go in for you. But he wants Barcelona. The minute that's said, you move on. Stay with the Vlahovic. This is why I'm going to keep banging on. Edu is the problem. Because when Edu hired Dusan Vlahovic, blanked him for 2 weeks, he was still persisting. How are you getting aired and you have no self-respect to walk away? How much of a lack of self-respect do you have to sit there and get blanked for 2 weeks, ghosted for 2 weeks, and still go, actually, I'm going to keep ringing this guy? Do you have no dignity? Do you have no self-respect? Do you not know you are part of the Invincibles? You should know what Arsenal Football Club means to England. They are one of the biggest institutions in England, and you're allowing yourself to be aired. The minute a player says no, move on. I thought that's what we were going to do. I thought that's what Mikel's whole narrative was. We do not sign players who do not want to play for us. Oh, wait a minute. Nico Williams has said, I don't actually think about playing for you. Actually, keep going for him, guys. Keep going for him because that's what we want to do. Edu's an idiot. He's a complete fool.
But here's the thing, Sulz. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. You don't know for a fact. You don't know for a fact that he kept on going. The news reports the news reports kept on saying Arsenal are in for him, and Edu does not speak directly, eventually at the beginning of deals. Go look at how deals are done. Go ask people who work for the football club how deals are done. Everybody wants to crash on Edu because he's the sports director. I hear that. But the truth is, agents talk to representatives of the club before it even ever gets to Edu. So the agents could still be talking to representatives, and reporters can be saying Arsenal are in for the club.
Tell him to back off. We don't want him.
But the point that Edu is not going to tell you how to do your job. You're representative. You're still trying to convince
he still
somebody.
has control.
No, he has final say. He has final
say.
say.
If your representatives are feeding back to you, they're blanking me.
And
You as the boss of that team need to be like, guys.
KJ, the blanking
with my Halomudrik last season.
At that point, Edu was calling them.
Let me ask you,
Edu was the one on the phone to his agent getting aired.
With my Halomudrik last season, what happened? When it got to the point where it seemed like this wasn't going to happen, they pulled out and went for Leandro Trossard. The fact that we want to sit here and nitpick one incident where you said Edu was calling Vlahovic.
Even then we tried.
The fact that we want to pick up, it's funny at the fan base that every season we try to find somebody to blame. First of all, the players weren't good enough. The manager was not good enough. Arteta out. Now it's no longer Arteta out. It's Edu out. If Edu goes out, it's going to be Garlic. It's going to be Garlic. It's going to be Garlic out. If it's not Garlic out, it's going to be somebody else.
Dayo.
One second. I need to ask him a question. Okay, so you're saying the fan base are looking for this person out. But when you are not achieving your goal, which is winning the Premier League, who are you going to look to, and who needs?
You're blaming the whole club. I'm saying my point is,
yeah, but whose head needs to roll? What needs to change?
Whose head rolls if we don't win the league this season?
If we don't win the league this season, I already said it. Like, this is my thing. If we don't win the league this season, or we don't win any trophies this season, Arteta's head should roll. So Arteta's head should roll.
So not Edu.
Why?
No. Listen, Arteta's head. Let me finish. Arteta's head should roll for the football on the pitch that we did not win, and every other person behind him, including his admin staff, should roll. Bring in a whole new batch of people. If the Kronkies are that ambitious and they have all that money, bring in a whole new batch of people and work with the players. That's my point.
To do their job.
That's my point. You can't sit here. You can't sit here.
If you're an employer, you don't.
So you're sorry, Dayo. Your strategy, if you don't win this year, is rip out the entire structure and start again.
Because I've given this structure. I've given them 5 years. I've given them funding for 5 years. I've given you 5 years to build.
I do get that train of thought.
I've given you 5 years, Edu. I've given Arteta 5 years.
Hang on, sorry. No, I understand. Hang on. Let me just. I understand what you're saying, and maybe they're all to blame. But I think this is where, again, I think you're sort of you may be cutting your nose off to spite your face. Let's just say it is hypothetically Edu's fault, and Edu isn't getting the deals over the line. Let's say Edu's actually getting the deals that Arteta wants, but Arteta's buying the wrong players or isn't getting it over the line. Say one of those two scenarios is what's true or is the biggest issue. Getting rid of everybody could actually take you backwards because you might hire a whole bunch of people that are collectively not as good, right? I think that it's important as fans to push for the... And when people say, why do fans give opinions? Fan opinion means nothing. I don't think it does. Fan opinion leads to questioning and probing from media outlets, and you get answers from it. It's as simple as that. It's an important part of our job is to challenge. I think challenging and questioning certain people and certain departments, getting the Ornsteins and the like of this world to push for information can lead you to understand what's right and what's wrong at your football club. And I think the idea of just getting rid of everybody that's got you to a point where you're just behind one of the greatest teams ever in England and saying get rid of every single one of them, I think that's crazy. I think you can more so look towards an individual or two, change them and get better and go one step further, personally. It's like saying, oh, a team messed up. Yeah, I know it was a striker that missed a chances, but let's sell all 23 of them and start again. I don't think you need to do that, personally. I want to get a rival perspective on this. David, what's your view? Obviously, it's your player, Raheem Sterling. Good deal for Arsenal, bad deal for Arsenal? What are you saying?
Oh, it's a great deal for Chelsea. I don't know how they've managed this, but in a couple hours, they've gone from we're in the power spot, we can do what we want with this transfer to, oh, we actually need to bring somebody in. Otherwise, this transfer window, we ain't done enough. And now Chelsea can sit there and be like, cool, money. How much of this wage are you going to pay? Because if it's a loan, pay most of the wage. And that's cool. Take him. I hope he has a great time. I hope he does well for you. I hope you give us 30 mil next year. It's brilliant, right? I think he'll actually do well at Arsenal. The system's better and everything. But from my point of view, the day's been great. Couldn't have gone better in terms of getting people out of the club. Now, obviously, we've got other situations with people coming into the club, but that's a different conversation. But Arsenal, I'm looking again. I've still got you winning the league. I just want this known before I say the next bit. I've still got you winning the league. Why? Because you got to. That is to win the league. What is amazing is you've done this whole transfer window, and you ain't like. I'm looking at the transfers and like, yeah, Calafiori's good, but again, is he an Amrabat in hiding? We'll have to see. Mikel Moreno, I personally don't rate him at all. Like, I think he's already been in England. He's tried it. It didn't work. So to act like he's going to be the saviour, I don't really get it. But whatever. And then if you bring in Sterling, at least the positive of Sterling, he's won the league before. He is, you know, a couple of years ago when you brought in Jesus and Zinchenko, everyone was saying, oh, he's these mentality guys and whatever. Allow that one. Sterling was actually crucial to them winning the league, like in a lot of those seasons. So for me, the Sterling transfer has been your best transfer. But that is for me. I'm happy. Take him. Give me $250K a week. I'll sink 100. I'll sink 100. That's cool. I'm chilling. I'm having a great time. So yeah, thank you, Arsenal. Keep doing what you're doing.
How about yourself, Ram? Good business, bad business? Again, he's an ex-player of yours as well. How do you see this working out for Arsenal over the course of the season?
I think in terms of the player itself, I think he offers something different to their front line. A very similar player to Trossard. The best Sterling that I would say I've seen is a guy that's focused on movement, who, funny enough, was under Pep Guardiola and a certain Mikel Arteta. So whether Mikel Arteta can get the best out of him again, it remains to be seen. But I think it is a positive move. I think it's a move that puts less strain on their attacking front line and gives them more options, which is important. But I've been kind of blindsided by Arsenal's transfer dealings because I never realized that your midfield is quite sparse. I looked at how many midfielders you got. You got 5, and you play a midfield 3. And I was like, oh, that's a bit odd. Like, why do you have only 5 players?
We have more than 5.
They've got young players that they believe in.
Sorry. Let me rephrase. 5 senior players in your midfield. And people going to use the excuse of, Liverpool had 3 midfielders when they won the league. We also had Adam Lallana, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Naby Keita, and James Milner in midfield. We had players to cover. You guys don't. And the fact that Mikel Merino, unfortunately, he's got his injury. I think it's a 4-week injury. I think it's Gabriel landed on his metatarsal or something. Is not ideal. I think in terms of depth-wise, your defense, solid. The best. I think in terms of depth-wise, defensively, you have the best depth. Attack-wise is good enough to win a league. But midfield, You need an engine and you need players in the midfield. I have not seen a team that haven't had a good midfield that has won a league title. You need to have good depth in your midfield. And I know Brandon was saying this, one injury, then you're like, oh, we're down to our bare bones now. And I don't know what you guys are going to do. Maybe it might be a January situation where you might sign someone, but you're leaving yourselves very sparse from midfield, because if you're going to play Kai Havertz in midfield, we saw what happened last season when he was in midfield. It didn't look good.
So
I'd
Partey,
rather-
do you feel that Partey, Moreno, Declan Rice, and Odegaard, plus a couple of youngsters, you don't think that's good enough depth
It's not good
and
enough depth.
versatility?
It's not, because look, if we talk about versatility, I said this before, Terry. Declan Rice is an 8. I don't like it. It doesn't look good. It don't look good. You saw against Villa, he was given the runaround by Morgan Rogers. It was not good. Partey, we don't know whether Partey can be fit for a full season. It remains to be seen. And expecting him to be a starter, that's already 2 players. That's like just under half your midfield gone. Then you have to look at the likes of Lewis Skelly and Nwenry or something.
Everything you're saying, Ram, everything you're saying right now is everything you're saying right now is what ifs and what ifs, because it hasn't happened yet. You want to base it on last season and base it on the fact that, okay, we want to look at what has transpired before. Fine, we can do that. We can do that for every team. We can say, what if Chelsea this season had the same number of injuries they had last season, regardless of how. We can say the same for Liverpool. What if you guys have to bring in all your youngsters like you did towards the end of last season? Let's talk about what the midfield looks like right now when they're fit and they're playing. Let's talk about exactly in this moment. In this moment, right? It's not a midfield that is short, because we also like to play inverted. Remember that. A lot of the games that the preseason and the couple of games that Timber has played, he's inverted into the midfield, which has allowed our midfield players to actually push up front more. So the way we play is different, right? I mean, other teams do it as well. I'm not saying they don't, but the point is we have defenders that can come into that role as well to help out in the midfield. So and our players are very, very interchangeable. We don't have to play Kai Havertz in the midfield. This idea that you all want to pigeonhole him there because we bought him as a midfielder, we know we've moved him to the 9. So let's stop bringing up that rhetoric. That rhetoric doesn't exist anymore.
I will say, what you're saying is what I used to say very similarly after we won the league title and we saw Dejan Lovren and we had 3 centre-backs. Because I used to say Fabinho will drop into centre-back and we'll do this, we could do that, we can bring other players in. I used to say the exact same thing, and look what happened. We lost our entire defense.
We did it last season, and we only lost by 2
How
points.
How is it not comparable? Because your midfielders that you've got are arguably just as injury prone as what we got.
You got Jorginho, who I trust to play. You got Partey, who I trust to play. You got Declan Rice, who I trust to play versus most teams if needed be also. Of course, he's one of our best players. You got Odegaard, who fit and available. He's one of the best players in the league. And of course, if he gets injured, there's a drop-off in the attacking in that position. But outside of that, I don't think there's as much of a drop-off as you're saying. In the 8, we're covered. We have numerous players that can play there. In the 6, we're covered. We got numerous players who can play there. And in the 10, yes, there might be a drop-off in the 10, but who's to say we don't go with an industrial midfield?
Even with that 8, is it good enough to compete with City?
You're completely underestimating how many players we have.
And again, we're not playing. And again, we're not playing City. We're not playing City for 38 games. Ram, we're not playing City for 38 games. We're playing other teams as well.
So you're going to compete with a team that has so much midfield depth in their team. Their depth is stacked.
Can I say something? Bro,
sorry, when you compete against Man City, Moreno ain't enough. He's just not enough.
It don't matter about Moreno.
Let's say Moreno bangs.
Hold
on. Let's say Moreno bangs. Yeah. Can I ask Dayo something? Why is it that you guys, certain people, Dayo, you especially right now, feel like we can't criticize that Arsenal are lacking depth in this team? We are lacking depth because come last season, we were lacking depth. We've added 1 player in the midfield. Yeah, we've added apparently we're added 1 player in the attack, but we've lost like 3-4 attackers, mate, because we're now losing Reiss Nelson. So we've lost Reiss, Eddie Nketiah, Vieira, Emil Smith-Rowe, and we've brought in Moreno, yeah, and we've brought in maybe Sterling. Yeah, so how can we not criticize that we haven't got the depth? I know you might say certain fans are being overly negative, but then it's not about the negativity. You're being overly positive.
No, it's not about the negativity, Giuseppe.
Finish. When you say as well to Rams, saying the players are getting injured, if buts and maybes, but you saying the team's going to be fully fit all season is also if.
That's not what I said. That's not
But
what I said.
for
I
me,
said let's talk about the team right
the way
now.
I am in life, you got to be prepared for the worst situation.
Okay.
You've got to be prepared for what if Saka gets injured. What
Okay,
if
Giuseppe.
Odegaard gets injured.
You conveniently take out the part where I said let's talk about the team now and the way it is now. I didn't talk about the future. I didn't mention the future because I don't know the future. I am saying as the team is today, right?
But you got
hold on. And you're the same fans who have complained about youngsters not getting the chance to play. Now we have brought in a couple of youngsters. Hold on, no, Ram, I'm talking to the fans. You're not you. You know, you're a rival fan. You can criticize and say what you want to say. These Arsenal fans will sit here and rant about how Arsenal do not give our youngsters the chance to play and give them minutes. Right now, we do that. We bring in Merino, we bring in Ethan Nwaneri, we bring in Miles Lewis Skelly into the team. These are players that they rate. Go look at the things that they're posting on Twitter. And then all of a sudden, they're the same fans now yelling and say, oh, it's not good enough. Look, you can't eat your cake and have it. You either have to accept the fact that you want to trust that these players are going to be able to step up to the plate and do what they need to do this season.
I get that.
Yeah, exactly. So don't come.
I get that with Nwaneri. I rate him, but once again,
Exactly.
you can't make him the Odegaard backup.
I am not
right
saying he's
now,
listen.
First season. No,
Tell
I'm
me
just
who you would
saying,
sign. Tell me who
let-
you would sign to back up Odegaard.
What?
Tell me
I'm
a
not saying-
midfielder that you would sign.
I'm not
I want a
saying-
name. I want a name. I want a
That's
name.
not my job.
No,
That's
you
not
give
my
me a
job.
name that
I'm
you
not
would
Eddie
like. I said that
Gaspar.
you would
Dayo,
like.
can I just jump in the middle of this? I get what you're saying that you want to talk about the team now, but let's be honest. You don't need to be a fortune teller to know that your team is going to get injuries, because if you've watched football for more than 2 or 3 years, you know that you're going to get injuries. You know that of your best current 13, 14 players, 3 or 4 of them are going to miss a chunk of your season. The likelihood is you lose 1 or 2 very good players for substantial amounts of time, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months plus. It's happened to nearly every single one of our clubs every single season for the past 30 or 40 years. So when it comes to, and we all do this, we go, I'll make a prediction. I think this player is going to score 25 goals if he remains fit. We know you mean if he remains fit, because we know that he isn't going to score 25 goals if he misses half the season, unless he's Haaland. He might be able to do that. When you predict a team winning the league, I've done this, and I've realized how stupid it sounds. If Man United get no injuries to any key players and it all goes well, top 4. Well, we're going to get injuries to key players. Things aren't always going to go well. Your prediction and your conversations, I think, have to encompass everything that we know is going to happen. Now, if you go through the season and you get no win, like Liverpool a few years back, where they seem to not get, and they still got injuries that year, but they seem to not get any major injuries. That is the rarity, not getting injuries. So I do, what I would say, where I disagree with you, I don't think you can just talk about how the team and the squad looks today in isolation, because all it takes is an accident in training and everything can change. And I think that in isolation, I've said it, I don't think this is a bad deal, Sterling. I've said it all along in terms of the system and the money you're probably paying for him. But I do get why Arsenal fans are annoyed they haven't signed another marquee attacker. Before we go to some more super chats, and there's some breaking news in 5 minutes. Ugarte is about to be announced. We want to speak a bit of Chelsea on the show as well. Egal, obviously Sterling, you were dead against it 2 or 3 days ago. Yesterday on the Top 6 show, you seemed more open to it, but it's now happening. Raheem Sterling will become an Arsenal player, it looks like. What's your thoughts on it, mate?
Beggars can't be choosers. We're desperate at this point. We didn't plan. I don't think we planned this out. I don't think we planned this out properly. I don't think we were gonna save it to the final day to try to get Sterling. This was probably never part of the plan. At this point, we're just trying to get in any attacker we can, and Kingsley Coman doesn't seem like it makes sense. So Raheem Sterling is the only option, and I'm not going to be upset to the level because I understand we need to bring in an improvement. We need to bring something better than what we currently have. And with Eddie Nketiah leaving, Reiss Nelson leaving, really and truly, they did not play that many minutes. I would expect Raheem Sterling coming in to play the equivalent to both of their minutes, and the versatility that he offers us. This might be copium, but I'm starting to try to get myself wrapped around the possibility of this possibly turning out positive, as he is an improvement on some of the players that we currently have.
No, you're not there yet. You're not there yet, bro. This is not the Egal that's trying to turn us around. You're still
Call it what you
discussion,
want.
bro.
Call it what you want. This is the best out of a worse situation. We didn't get a striker. We didn't get the winger we wanted. We got somebody who's Premier League proven, who won the league, already lives in London, and doesn't have to move too far to get his photos done.
Listen. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think you're correct. I don't think Sterling's that bad of a signing. But what I'm saying is, you're saying I'm coming around to it, bro. You don't sound like a man coming around to it. Egal coming around to it does not speak like this, bro. It's okay. You're still fuming.
Bro, I'm more upset this morning when it sounded like we weren't going to get anybody. I think the club sometimes puts out information that you're not going to get nobody. So when you do get somebody last minute and it seems like a panic buy, they're like, at least we got somebody.
This wasn't that. You don't understand. You got to remember this deal for Sterling is so complex with Sancho and Reiss Nelson, and this has been mulling over for the last week and a half, 2 weeks, because of what Maresca said about Sterling. So it's never was going to be an easy deal to do. So it's not a PR trip that from Arsenal. It's literally Chelsea have changed their mind on the terms.
So
all right.
Just an update, another update. Sorry, mate. Another update from Sammy McBell. Highly unlikely to have any buy option in this deal. It looks like being just a straight loan deal for the season. Do you think that's a mistake, Egal? Say he comes in and he's brilliant for you. Do you not run the risk of Chelsea saying we'll have him back, or another club coming in and saying, well, we'll buy him, and you not having that first choice? I would always want to loan a player knowing that we have the option to buy him if we want to.
I personally...
Egal. He's talking to you.
Sorry, my wife distracted me. She was fighting over bread. Literally, what do you call it?
Whoa, what's going on at the Egal household?
She came home. She's like, "Where's the bread?" I'm like, "It's right there." Listen, Terry, I didn't catch the last part of what you said.
No, I said that obviously Sammy McBell has said that it's going to be just a loan deal, no obligation to buy, no right to buy. Are you not concerned that if he does come in and is a success, that you're leaving yourself open to another club benefiting from Arteta essentially saving him?
Terry, I don't care. It's been 20 years. We haven't won the league for 20 years. If Raheem Sterling comes in and wins us the league, we will say thank you and goodbye. Wish you all the best for the rest of your career. We're going to then go to Nico Williams and say, look at what you missed out.
Yeah, I want to paint this picture for David. Let's say, David, let me ask you this question. This is the hypothetical scenario. Don't answer it with it might not happen. Humor me. Sterling goes to Arsenal, scores 20 goals this season, and is integral with them winning the league. How gutted are you by Chelsea's decision to say he's dead?
I don't really care. Give me 50 mil and I'll be happy. that is that literally. The better he does at Arsenal, because the thing is, again, it's not like Sterling can play against my team, so I don't really care. He can't score against me, so that banter bit is gone. If he scores 20 goals, great. If Arsenal won't give me 50 mil, City will. Or if City don't give me 50 mil, United will. Or if United, Spurs will. Somebody's going to give me money. Someone's giving me bread.
Nobody's giving you 1 second. Nobody's giving you 50 mil for a player you guys want nothing to do with. Listen, him playing at Arsenal and playing to a certain level, you know what it does?
Egal. If he plays well, we're getting more bread. More money than we would have done.
He's going to be 30 years old, David. Don't fool yourself.
You are not in a position of
50 mil for him.
By the way,
it's Chelsea. It's Chelsea.
Nobody.
Even if it's 30,
it is Chelsea.
Even if it's 25. 20. If we get 25 mil.
One sec, guys. We want to go into a loophole with this topic. We're going to get into a loophole with this topic. I know what David's saying. Giuseppe, you're about to say something, and then we're going to go to match day.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Romano's just tweeted that Raheem Sterling and Arsenal deal in the final stages.
It's happening! It's happening!
It's
funny. It was one of those deals. It was one of those deals when Enzo sort of made his comments 10 days ago about him not playing. I remember a lot of people on the streams in the comments saying, do you reckon Arsenal will come in? And I just remember every gooner, no chance. It's funny how the world works sometimes. I always had a little feeling Arsenal might do this. But sorry, we're going to go to...
One second. David, you got to go.
I've got to go. I might be back. Depends when I get back. But one thing I will say, Egal,
what are you doing for an hour and a half?
I just want you to say, I'm going to the pub with my mates.
For an hour and a half. For an hour and a half.
Yeah, if it was anything
You're
else, tell it would be
weak.
2.5 minutes.
You are weak. An hour and a half.
I might be if I'm back. If I'm back, I'm back. If
It's
I'm
supposed
not,
to be.
I won't
It's
come
supposed to be
back.
like. It's supposed to be like 8-9 hours. What are you doing in an hour and a half? Like, are you drinking one beer and walking out, my friend?
Yes.
Will you
guys,
go?
David.
Will you go?
Let him finish.
My friend, go and stay there till
go.
midnight. Take the last bus.
Let him finish. Let him
Go
finish.
Go ahead. I know where he's going with it.
You can roast me when you're gone. Egal, I just want, right? There's a 4-letter word, right? We're going to play a little bit of hangman. 4-letter word. Begins with an M. I'll even give you the first letter. Describe Arsenal's transfer window.
It's been messy.
Meaty.
Yeah, it's been a mess. It's been a mess. Thank you. Goodbye. I'm having a great time. Big up the
Yeah,
Arsenal.
Dave.
The
Raheem
goalkeeper
Sterling gives me
situation
25.
alone was messy. I'll give
If
you
I'm
that.
going to be really shameless and very personal about what I want to say, I had Ches in the group chat for 3 days saying Man United haven't changed because they're going to buy Raheem Sterling. At least Ches can only say now that Man United have changed. At least me and KJ won the debate with Ches over this. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy about that. Little win for us. Matchday Guru, what you saying, mate?
Thanks for having me on.
No problem.
To be fair to the Chelsea person there, forget his name now. You can do some serious damage in an hour and a half in a pub. I know.
Are you talking from experience?
Oh, yes.
I'm gonna say this to you, brother. I've only just met you, but an hour and a half is just like the warm up. Like where I'm from, no damage in the first hour and a half. If you're gone in the first hour and a half, you're never allowed back.
You've never known Canadians then.
Yeah, I love you guys. Canadians are great. Canadian Cam's great. I saw you. So the reason why I put you in match day, I saw you do something. Egal mentioned something, and you did this in the background. So I was wondering what was that about?
I forget now. I mean, Egal says all types of stuff on the stream, and to be honest, you never see what my reactions are, but I don't know. I'm an Arsenal fan as well, supporting them for 22 years now. 32, by the way. So first 10 years of my life had nothing associated to soccer, but then I moved to Congo, Central Africa, and things changed. Became an Arsenal fan. I was lucky enough to see the Invincible run. And ever since then, it's been... So, yeah.
It's been downhill.
Sometimes I actually feel like maybe I'm the problem. I'm like, am I the unlucky charm or something? I don't know.
Terry, do you have sad music?
Don't blame me, guys.
He does have sad music.
I don't know if I do on this soundboard, to be fair. I've got a trombone. That's about it. I don't have music. I don't have music. Yeah, we've got a little bit of that.
So what do you think of the Raheem Sterling deal? It's almost completed.
Okay, so Raheem Sterling, even before he was linked to Arsenal, I don't understand where all the hate comes from. Maybe it's the media spreading it out over the years, even with the England national squad and stuff. I don't think he's that bad of a player. We all know he's a system player. And I mean, if he can do a job for Arsenal, fuck yeah, dude. I'm not against it. I was never against it. But I'm super underwhelmed with this window. And some people might disagree with me, and that's fine. Opinions are opinions. I don't blame Edu or Arteta for this window. If the Kroenkes aren't willing to invest in the club, then what the fuck are they supposed to do? Like, if Kroenke says, I cannot spend this much money in this window, then they can't, It's just simple as. And this whole PSR thing, where it's like, oh, we've spent so much in the last 2 windows, we can't do it. Dude, we got like 100 mil from Champions League, right? Just last season. And we're like 10 million net spend or something. So yeah, we can do it. But if the owners say it's not possible, then it's not possible.
Yeah,
You
I
cannot
think do you know
put
what?
everything on gas.
I think it's a really fair challenge, and I understand some people looking at Edu, some will look at the owners. I think it's about fans asking questions, and I don't think it matters how well run you are. You know, we've seen all the Chelsea stories about their financial issues. Some Chelsea fans, once the loophole's been found, see, we're fine, no issues. When you're looking for loopholes in life, typically it tells you that something isn't right. You should ask questions. I've been doing it at Man United for 17 years. Well, why is the debt growing? Why has this happened? Why didn't we do? You've got to ask questions because no one really knows the truth. Even though a journalist might do a story, let's not pretend that some journalists won't push a certain narrative so they get an exclusive interview. I'm not saying that they all do it, but we know. I remember watching Simon Jordan on TalkSport have a journalist in, and they were talking. Do you remember when the story came out of Mason Greenwood? I think he was doing a balloon, and the journalist that released it, Simon Jordan, called him out saying that I heard a rumor that this story is like 9 months old. He went, yes, it is. He went, but the only reason it's taken you 9 months to publish it is because you were essentially using it to blackmail Man United for exclusive interviews and information on transfers. Otherwise, you'd release it. And he kind of went, well, how do you know that? He went, I own the football club. And we'd often get calls from journalists saying, we've got video footage of one of your players at a nightclub doing a madness. We'll release it unless you give us these exclusive interviews. And that was an eye-opening moment for me where you realize it's not all sunshine and rainbows. But I think that's the fans' job, and it's why fan media, what we do, is so important. I always get it in the comments. Terry, you've done videos linking Arsenal to loads of players this summer. Yeah, I'm a fan channel. We react to what the news says. Even the YouTubers that call me out for doing it react to the same stories. They just come at it from a different angle because they have a different view of the world, and that's absolutely fair. But we talk about it and we give our opinion on whether or not we think it's happening. Fans are really important in this. I think you should be questioning the Kronkoes. I think you should be questioning Arteta. I think you should be questioning Edu. I think you should be open-minded enough that if you think there's a problem, it could be all of them, one of them, a number of them. And I think that's what a fan's job, part of what a fan's job is there to do, is to ask those questions. Not to be polarized, not to be disgusting, not to be nasty, not to always look for the negative in every single situation. Equally, I don't think your job is to pretend that everything's okay, there's never a problem, never complain, and bury your head in the sand like an ostrich. I think both of those two things are dangerous and poisonous for a football club. I think what you need is to be asking the questions. Let's really know what's going on. Why haven't we done this? Because if it turned out that the reason you haven't bought the players you want this summer is because the Kronkies haven't sanctioned the money, you can't really have a go at Edu or the manager. And I think you have to ask those questions. I think those questions are really fair. I'm going to come back to that in a minute, ladies and gentlemen, because there are obviously other stories. It has just been announced. Man United have announced the signing of Manuel Ugarte. It is official. He's a Manchester United player. It's been the longest saga of our summer, but it is finally over the line, KJ, and it completes all of our deals. Xerxes, Yoro, obviously Mathwari and Delic. Ugarte comes in, new holding midfield player. Thoughts and feelings on that now being over the line?
Yeah, I'm just happy that we've got our target. One thing I will say about Man United this summer is that whoever Ineos has targeted, like first choice, first team targets, we've got them in the end. So look at every single person we wanted, we've essentially got. We only missed out on Toledo because of UEFA rulings and Branthwaite, and we walk away from that because of the evaluation. But I think this summer you can look at it as a first summer and look at Man United under Ineos and be like, you know what? Clearly their strategy has changed, clearly how they're operating has changed, and now hopefully moving forward into modern day football and into getting better. Manuel Ugarte is a good player. When he was at Sporting, loads of teams wanted him. Liverpool wanted him. Chelsea wanted him. Ended up PSG, and PSG got Enrique. That style of play is not going to suit and Ugarte. It's just not. That's not his game to be the lone dictator in the six and all of that. He is a hard-working, hard combative, tidy footballer who I think will do good for Man United. I'm not saying he's fixed in the midfield. The midfield is not fixed. We still need a couple of more profiles to make it functional. We still need Ten Hag to make tactical tweaks in there. But for a lone profile that we've been needing, more legs in case of Casemiro's legs dying, more options off the bench if you want to see out a game, more options tactically if you want to go into a big game. He fulfills that, and I think it's a good midfield start. People have been saying stuff about Sancho. I don't know where that's come from, but apparently there's an agreement being made for Jadon Sancho.
We'll come back to that. Well, we'll come back to that.
Yeah. But yeah, like in terms of like the Man United summer, it's been very, very positive. And even with the outgoings, obviously the Sancho deal is something that we're working on now to potentially go through. But we've done well. We've done well. That's all I can say. Like, we've done good for our first summer. It's not perfect. It's not amazing, but it's decent. And for what we've been going through last season, what people were saying about our club for the last 12 years, that we're broken, that we're rubbish, that we're awful, this is a good start. And I think Man United fans need to accept that.
Absolutely. And the here we go is now in. Jadon Sancho to Manchester United. Here we go is here. It was broken first. Ornstein said it's on the verge of an agreement. Fabrizio has gone with the here we go. It is a loan with an obligation to buy next summer. So Jadon Sancho is and will not be a Manchester United player again. He has gone to Chelsea. And look, I said this last night about this deal, and I think it echoes in with what you have just said, KJ, about Ineos and co. I would have liked a replacement for him. I would have liked a player to have come in. But at the same time, I sort of said 5 to 6 players coming in this summer is about the maximum I want to see. I don't believe in bringing in 10, 15 players in the summer. I think it's too hard to integrate. It's too hard to create those relationships. I think Jadon Sancho is a talented player. But if we're being honest, he flopped for Man United. Whether it was his fault, the managers, the clubs, the boards, the fans, all of us, he flopped. I don't think anybody believed he was going to be an integral part of the team this season. I don't think anybody believed that he was going to be a player that was going to set Old Trafford alight. Doesn't mean it won't work for him at Chelsea. Doesn't mean he won't deliver. But what is good is Man United owed him over £30 million on his contract. I don't know what the obligation is yet. We'll find out soon. I did hear a rumor today it'll be between 20 and 25 million. That means we're saving and making around £50 million on his exit. That hopefully between January and next summer will be reinvested into our squad. So first of all, I wish Jadon Sancho all the very best at Chelsea. You know, he is a United player, and I don't want to see him do well at Chelsea because they're a rival of mine. But you know, I begged for Sancho to join our club, and it hasn't worked out. And you know, I think it's more the club issues than it was him personally. But again, I agree with KJ. Ineos have come in, and for the first summer have done a good job. Now, if you start comparing our window to what the clubs that are at the top of the league have done in recent years, you could go, it ain't as good. You didn't sign a player of Declan Rice's level, or you haven't signed an Erling Haaland. But it's all about the stage of which you're at. We are at the beginning of a new rebuild. I do believe Ten Hag is on the clock because he has told us how brilliant the club is now. The chaos is gone. The calmness is there. There's great football decision makers. He feels like everybody's pulling in the same direction. Therefore, I expect his Man United team to perform and play a lot better. But whether he fails or not individually at his role, I'm not going to turn my back on this rebuild just because of some mistakes and bumps in the road. Ugarte is an excellent deal. Sancho's gone. And this now, it already was. It's the most amount of money we've ever raised in a single summer for player sales in the history of Manchester United Football Club. So it shows me there's change on the way. However, this is where I keep the same energy. We have to keep pushing for our club to strive and keep moving forward. This slight improvement on what we've seen in the last 11 years cannot become our ceiling. I still think we are at a very low level of operation, and it's got to keep getting better and better and better and more consistent. And look, I've said it already, I'm really excited about the season. I'm excited about the season because we're going to get answers about whether Ten Hag is the right manager or not. And the people that have been here a while, so KJ and Ram will know when I say this, it's the first time ever I'm not worried. I want the manager to succeed because I don't want us to lose games. But it's the first time ever I'm not worried about a manager failing, sacking him and bringing somebody else in, because we finally have a club plan and the club is operating, as opposed to the manager being the sort of centerpiece of what we're doing. So if he leaves, we have to throw baby out with the bathwater and start again. So it's been a very good summer, in my opinion, for the first year. Happy with the signings, happy with the progress and structure that we've built, but it's still the beginning. You know, I'm not getting carried away. I don't believe we're going to win the league this year. I don't believe it's going to be easy. There's going to be many, many ups and downs, a huge amount of trials and tribulation, but I'm happy. But congratulations, look, Chelsea, Sancho, you got your player. I mean, just moving it on to Chelsea because of this news, Guiseppe, I mean, they've got an absolutely star-studded cast of technical ability when it comes to the attack. Who do you think's got the better deal here, Chelsea or Manchester United?
I think Man United have got the better deal because I think, you know what, like, I've been there with Arsenal. There's toxic stuff at your club and you just have to take the L and say, look, it don't matter if we only get 20 million for him. He just needs to go. At the end of the day, you paid 80 million. That was under a different regime without Ineos in. So just take that L. He's got to go. He's gone to Chelsea. And I think personally, that's a poor move for Sancho as well. I think he's made a poor decision there. I think he's gone from a club that was, I know he was toxic. His toxicness at the club, it was too late. He was done. Like there was no coming back from it. But he's gone to like another club that's just all over the place with wingers like galore and like have a couple bad performances and then people are going to want you out, mate, because you're going to have other players like, look what's happened with Mudryk. So I think, listen, it could work out for Sancho, but I don't know. It doesn't make sense why Chelsea went for him. I'll be honest. Like they wanted to get Sterling out so bad. I find that disrespectful for Sterling. If I was Sterling, I would be pissed at Chelsea because to bring in Sancho and get rid of Sterling could only tell me that it was probably because of Sterling's wages was a big reason they're pushing him out. But yeah, I just don't see it being a great deal for Chelsea, to be honest. I think they might be doing it as well because they know they're not getting Osimhen. And it's sort of like, to like soften the blow.
Sorry to interrupt you. That Sky Sports have just put out an update saying, breaking news, Victor Osimhen is staying at Napoli.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. So for me, it might be one of them. They didn't need him. They've signed Neto. They've got Madueke. They've got tons of wingers. It's unbelievable. He could go and do well. But if I was him, I would have pushed for that Juve move. I think it would have made so much more sense for him. But maybe he wants to stay in England. Maybe he bets on himself and Chelsea could get something good out of it. But even if, and I'll tell you this as a rival fan, two Man United fans, even if he goes and performs very well at Chelsea, you shouldn't let it bother you. Because at the end of the day, it would not have happened at Manchester United, no matter what you had done now. The toxicness was imprinted in him at the club. So at that time, like you said the other day, Terry, with the noises, I remember you saying there's certain, I think it was you that said for certain fans, it will be that certain cheer, the dressing room, the training ground, the staff. It was all part of the Sancho
an X is an X I can't think of an example. I don't know if any of the panel can, of a player falling out with a manager. And I understand we've got new people running our club now, but the club then started leaking information about him. He goes on loan. The club he's at was taking shots at us, you know, and he was kind of like party to that because he was there. Not that he made Dortmund tweet what they tweeted, but he's part of it. He didn't shut it down or say don't disrespect them. Have you ever seen an example where that's happened? The player's gone back to his parent club and then gone on to have a consistent, thriving career. That's why I'm not bothered in that regard. Plus, Nick said this earlier in our group chat, so I don't want to plagiarize his words. I want him to get the credit for it. But Man United have got to focus on ourselves. If he goes to Chelsea and Chelsea get better, that's fit on a rival level. You're like, fuck's sake. But that doesn't. Sancho doing well at Chelsea is not what's going to stop Man United getting better as a football team. So that element is almost irrelevant. If Sancho stayed at Man United, that isn't going to make us better because the scenario is different. So if we don't progress as much as we want to, it isn't because we stupidly got rid of Sancho that was delivering for us. So that's why I think it's a good deal. Where I disagree with you, Guiseppe, though, is I actually think he's going to do really well at Chelsea. I still think there's a fantastic player in Jadon Sancho who, look, there was the only thing I ever really lost my temper with him over was when he pulled out of a tackle at the edge of the box when we were away against Sevilla. It was a 50-50. It was a bit of it was no slide tackles, but it would have been one of the ones that could jar your knee, and he pulled out, and I lost it because I sort of feel if you're a professional athlete, you do put your body on the line. Injury, no injury. I lost my temper with him over that. But I still believe that there is a very technically gifted player in there. We saw what he did for Dortmund in the Bundesliga and Champions League last year. I know Chelsea fans might not appreciate me saying this, but if he can find his Dortmund form again, he starts for he won't be a backup. He'll start for Chelsea. He's head and shoulders above Mykhailo Mudryk, and Pedro Neto's got a terrible injury record. I think by Christmas he's going to be a regular starter at Chelsea and a regular player. They're doing very, very well. So I think that's what happened.
And if we're honest, I think that club right now, with the kind of personalities they have at the club and the kind of way that they want to play football, probably suits him a lot more than what Ten Hag is doing and our players. So it's just one of those ones where, like, especially for me, like, I really wanted to. I remember 2021 failing to get him on deadline day. I remember 2022. Yeah, 20 whatever summer. Well, one of the summer of 2020. The summer of 2020 we failed to get him, and then summer of 2021 I think we finally got him.
Hang on, guys, can you hear that though? Everyone be quiet. Can you hear that? Can you hear all the Chelsea fans running to their Twitter account to delete all their Sancho slander? I can hear that coming. But that's what I also love. If I remove myself as a Man United fan, what I love about these deals is the backtracking that you see from people. The backtracking of all the, you know, and Arsenal fans went through this. All the things they said about Kai Havertz for 2 years. So suddenly he's an Arsenal player. It's like, crap. Like, it's on the, you know, if Twitter was around back then, the stuff I would have been saying about Michael Owen in the late 90s before he signed for Man United, it wouldn't have been pretty. So, but yeah, look, listen, and Chelsea fans online seem pretty happy because I think Chelsea fans know he's a really good player. This has just come out. This has come from I think they're called Team News and Ticks. A lot of Arsenal fans respect this account. Arsenal consider the deal for Raheem Sterling done. So that's
Simon McBell,
You know what?
reporting.
What if Arsenal just pulls out of the Raheem Sterling deal and just sticks Chelsea with Raheem Sterling and Sancho? Like, here now, keep paying the wages. Like, you know what? We don't want to do this anymore.
The obligation from Samuel Bell is just under 40 million.
Hey, that's a good
Sterling?
deal.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
40 million.
Sancho.
No,
for
40
Sancho.
For Sancho,
scared
40
me,
million.
KJ, mention the name. I thought we talked
You
about
scared
Sterling.
me, bro. I was
Yeah, no,
gonna
but
say,
wait. Where have you guys been? There's already been confirmation there's no obligation to buy for Sterling.
You never know. News
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah,
man.
So just on that, I see here, Chelsea's obligation to buy Jadon Sancho is a fee just lower than 40 million. So what I said earlier, that's 30 million in wages that they're taking from us. Plus we're going to get, let's say 35 million. That's 65 million in totality. I'm not unhappy with that. I'm not unhappy with it. You know, that's nice. It's decent for a player that has not delivered for my club. I just hope we get somewhere near that for Anthony. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
That price actually made me feel a lot better. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's a player that wanted to do well, and he hasn't. But at least we're getting potentially half of what we paid for him, which is good considering the foolishness that we went through with him. So yeah, I hope that that this whole Chelsea lovely thing works. I hope it works. All the attacking options, all the big names in the stacked forward line and the midfield. I actually hope it works because it has to. That project has to work. It has to work because the amount of investment they put into it, the amount of confusion they've caused people, the amount of deals and the willing and dealing that Chelsea have done, it has to work, and it can. I believe it can. Chairs and Don have really schooled me and showed me the truth about Chelsea in the last few days.
I know what you're doing. Bro.
I know they can. The Chelsea, now that they got Sancho, Osimhen not being there, it was always a hard deal to do. But yeah, they're going to be. I think they're locked in for top 4. I think it's done now. They are set. They are set.
KG,
I will say that I am going to
call.
call Ches out on one thing because of the way these deals have gone now. Though he said something the other day that I had to really bite my tongue on, and I didn't understand it. He said that Man United buying a flop like Sterling is proof that zero has changed at the football club. That was at the same time that his team was about to buy a flop from Man United. I couldn't understand the logic other than he doesn't like Sterling and he likes Sancho. But objectively speaking, I was sitting there reading it and I was like, I don't get it. I don't get it. But obviously we didn't buy Sterling. So there we
that's
go.
because he doesn't realize that being a flop is actually a subjective thing. Kai Havertz was a flop at Chelsea, but not a flop at Arsenal in his first season.
No, and I agree, and I kind of agree with that. And I think that it's again, I actually think Sterling to Man United wouldn't have been as good as it could be at Arsenal. Your system's better, and I think that he's a player that a lot of players need good systems, but Cole Palmer thus far I think has demonstrated he could be in a system that isn't quite right and still deliver. Bukayo Saka, before your system was now down, delivered. Steven Gerrard. He played in some brilliant Liverpool teams that underachieved, but he played in a few that were awful, but he still delivered. But there are other players out there who I think categorically need, I think Raheem Sterling stands out, a system. Ironically, you get someone like Jack Grealish, who I think a really good system hinders. I think he actually needs a bit more freedom to his play. So I think it'll be a good deal. I want to go to some of these super chats because there's a lot of them. Nabil, Terry, does Sancho FC now leave us alone? That's the great thing, though.
No, they won't. They won't.
It depends. If he does well, they'll say United ruined him. But I'll agree with them. I will agree with them because we were a toxic club at that point that were being run poorly. If he doesn't do well at Chelsea, in fairness, they'll still come for us and say we ruined him. But hang on, no. But he did well at Dortmund, though. He did well at Dortmund when he went back. So if he doesn't,
but he was never the same player.
But he did well, though. But he did well. That's a big difference. He did well.
It wasn't the same Sancho.
With these stands and FCs and whatever, it don't matter what happens. They will, once they've got an agenda against a club or a player because their players been
agendas. ESPN reports transfer news in euros, but Man United it's dollars. I'm just going by the information that Sammy McBell put out, who's reporting in pounds. But we'll see. Listen, if we get 25 to 40 million in that range, I'm happy. I'm happy with it. You know, yes, we're losing money on him, but this is also where I see change at Man United, and I think rivals don't give a damn, and I don't care that they don't. But what we would have done in the old regime is we would have had this weird. We were like hoarders. We would have just held on to him until there was nothing left. We did it with so many players. Let's keep renewing Phil Jones's contract. Maybe we'll get our money back because somebody will spend £25 million on him. I think we ended up wasting about £30 million over 7 years on wages on him, and he barely kicked a ball. Like these things, I'm glad are stopping now. It's you move them on. Yes, you're going to lose a little bit, but I'd rather lose a frupney bit than a fiver. Ugarte is confirmed that United. Yes, very happy with that. Big up to Dayo, a real one. Glory, Man United. Thank you, bro. If Sterling does well at Arsenal, Chelsea will bid for him, in my opinion. It's an L signing, but it's better than no signing. He better do something. Can I play devil's advocate to everyone being negative about it as well, though? And then I'm going to go and speak to Sam and get Sam's opinion because he hasn't spoken yet. I remember an Arsenal window. I want to say it was 4 years ago when you got Ben White, Ramsdale, and these players. And even the TPFs, as I now call them, the toxic positivity fans, were fuming. And I put out a tweet and I basically said something along the lines of, I think Arsenal have had a really productive summer. And I've never had so much hatred and bile in my replies. And I just said, I think Tommy Astor will be a really good signing for you. And I think he has been for the money. I said, I think Ben White's a phenomenal piece of business. He has been. Ramsdale was good. He's obviously been sold now, but he was. And you signed somebody else who went on to do quite well. It might have been Odegaard, actually. I think you got. And he done pretty good. Maybe this has got the makings of a really good signing because everybody's playing it down. maybe Raheem Sterling's going to do better. You're not in your head there, Sam. And I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm not saying it's my thought process. I'm just throwing it out there as another point of view. Maybe this coming in and being a bit underwhelming will help Sancho, Sam. Sterling, Sam.
I agree. But yeah, listen, Terry, big up to you. Thanks for having me on. Big up to Gage, one of the rest of the panel. Terry, I wanted to ask you this one question because I don't think someone has asked you this before. What do you expect from Man United this season? That's from your perspective now with everything that's happened.
Great question. I expect... When you ask me this, do you mean in terms of what I expect the team to deliver or the progression of the club overall?
Overall.
Overall. So I expect more of our structure to get fixed. I actually do expect an update about how the club looks to get at Ineos looks to completely remove the Glazers. I expect that over the course of this season in terms of what their longer term strategy is. That for me is a really important and key component. That's very personal to me because the day they say we have a strategy that if we achieve X, Y, and Z, we'll be able to buy them out. I will pump every penny I can afford into the club again to try and support the endeavor to remove them. In terms of on the field of play, Ten Hag has got to dramatically improve this team on a consistent basis where we build a foundation and belief that this team with the squad being fixed over two more summers could become title contenders or champions of the Premier League. And where it's different from the beginning of the rebuild at Arsenal as an example with Arteta is the manager does have more experience and he has been here 3 years. And he has stated that it's so different now. He's felt it since he's been back. I expect really big, important strides forward. And if you're going to quantify how that looks, I wouldn't put statistics on it because they can sometimes be misleading. But I expect us to concede. And we've started the season well in this regard. We were on average conceding over 22 goals per game last season. I expect us to almost halve that in essence.
You did look shaky the last game, though, mate.
Sorry?
I'll say that to you. You did look shaky the last game you did play.
Yeah, we've still got shaky moments without a doubt. I've seen shaky moments in every game so far. I've seen good moments and shaky moments. That is what I want to see over the course of this season. Eradicated, not completely because all teams have shaky moments, but I want us to see us to become a really difficult and hard team to break down and a team that is trying to play good football. I don't think the squad is good enough and balanced enough yet to defend well and play beautiful football for 50, 60 games of the season. It's not there yet. The squad's going to take time. So for me, it's about that. On top of that, I expect us to win the Europa League or at the very least come very close. And I expect us to do well in the cup competitions. And I want us to, at the very least, push really hard for top four. And if we miss out, I want us to miss well. I don't want us to miss out by 15 points. If we miss out, we get 75 points and just miss out, plus do well in the cups, and we're playing better football, you can kind of accept it. So for me, it's very hard to give a very concise, straight answer because there's always context that's applied. But essentially, I want by the end of the season, it's almost rivals are going to play a part in this. Rivals going, fucking hell, United have got better, haven't they? That for me would mark progression year one under Ineos as an example. So some of it's about winning trophies. Some of it's about how we play, but it's about how we're perceived as well. We've already done a lot of what I wanted off the field in terms of gaining more respect in the transfer window, selling players, taking a loss on individuals that are never going to improve or are not needed here. And we've done a lot of that. A lot of the kind of dead wood that fans have wanted gone for a while have moved on this summer. There's still quite a few more to go as well. Like Lindelof just refused to leave because nobody was offering him 120 grand a week. That's not really
my countryman.
Okay, your countryman. That's not for me. That's not an Ineos problem. That is a legacy issue that they've got to deal with. So look, overall, I'm happy with the start. But yeah, I've got a lot of expectations this year.
But Terry, do you really care?
On the manager.
But Terry, do you really care about how the play style is as long as you just win stuff? Because I've never really understood that. For me, as long as you just win trophies, for me, that's just as fine.
No, I do agree. I do agree with you. And I think if you look at Real Madrid right now, you probably couldn't. You couldn't quantify or name what your style of play is. You just win, right? Sometimes.
But they've pissed me off. They've pissed me off.
I'm not talking start of this season. It doesn't really. there looks like a real imbalance at the moment. And I'm not saying that's Mbappe.
Yeah, and the transfer window has been embarrassing. It's
No,
been an average transfer window from us as well.
Well, it's because you spent it all on Mbappe. That's the problem, because he signed
Yeah,
on
and
to
he's
it
been
so much.
shocking. Shocking.
But generally speaking, you wouldn't kind of like Barcelona have tiki-taka and Ajax have total football. There isn't a brand of football you associate with Real Madrid. It's just good attacking, winning football. So I agree with you. So when I speak about us playing better, I'm not obsessed with having a style of play that everybody can dictate how we do it. I just want to be hard to break down and good at creating chances and scoring goals. I know that sounds basic, but football fucking is.
No, that's pretty much like what I want.
No, and that's what yes, I would love great wing play as an example. I don't care though with my fullbacks, invert, overlap, underlap, fanny flap. I couldn't give a shit. I really don't care what we do. It doesn't have to be a certain way. The most important thing is I want to be hard to beat. Like I want to be really hard to beat as a football team, because Man United always were in my lifetime hard to beat, and that is what's really important. I don't, as you say, I don't want to sit behind the ball for 90 minutes and just try and counter. I want us to be able to take it to teams, but I don't care about being a better possession-based team than City. I couldn't give a damn about that in reality. I just want to be able to beat them. So, yeah, that's what I want us to become over the course of the next 2 to 3 years, and I want to see big strides in that this season. So,
but Terry, if we talk about doing better, do you think anyone has done enough this window to overtake City? Because I think the two clubs that should have done more to overtake that. I think both of them have been a disgrace this window. Both of these clubs have been a disgrace, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, Liverpool.
Both of them. I think both of them have been a disgrace in this window.
Yeah, let's talk.
Let me throw it out to the panel. But let's go to Ram first, who's a Liverpool fan. Do you think your window's a disgrace?
Disgrace is not half of it, Terry. Our transfer window never started. It never started. Like literally, one of the worst transfer windows I've ever experienced, and it's not even.
Ram, I feel for you, bro.
We won the league, and we won the treble. We have like a stacked team. We didn't accomplish a lot last season, and we had glaring holes in our team, and yet we have a positive. I know Terry don't like this, but it still speaks volumes. We have a positive net spend. That is shameful.
By how much?
We sold more than we've spent this season.
How much is a positive net spend, though?
I think we sold around about £80 million worth of players and spent around about 40.
Fucking hell, it's a £40 million profit then.
That is ridiculous. For a team that's meant to be shocking. 3 players away from possibly challenging Arsenal City, that is an absolute disgrace. It is disgraceful in the way that we've acted. And I'm not even talking about the way the Zubimendi signing. Look, obviously that hurt, especially given the fact that
Ram, come on.
The window.
Come on. It's not like
it's not even that. It's not even the start of the window. I wanted the player to join. He was a player that was on my list.
No, but Ram, come on. We all told you.
Sam, tell him again. Tell him
Ram,
again.
Come on. We all warned you. I told you about these Basque region players. They are very hard to get rid of. They hardly ever leave that place. But Liverpool fans didn't want to listen.
But that's not my issue. That's not my issue.
Ram, do you know how bad it is? Basque region, the players, they don't even think they're from Spain.
Bro, I know about the Basque region. I know about Bilbao. I know about Sociedad. I know about all of that.
Listen, I want to say this. I understand the cultural element, right? I do get it, and people not wanting to leave. But Liverpool could have still made an offer that he can't say no to, and this is the thing.
Terry, I don't think so. I don't really.
No, I think if Liverpool turned around and went, boom, there's 350 grand a week. Do you know what I mean? Or like, I don't know, we'll pump some money into some local charities. But let me sorry, I don't want to get too muddied on this. I want to go back to the actual question because we're going to lose sight of it, and I think we need to stick to it. I do agree. Listen, Liverpool are title contenders this year. I think their team is that good. I think they'll be in and around the title race until maybe 4, 5, 6 games to go. Yeah, I think they will be. I think they're really good. But where they're going to fall apart, where it's going to collapse, is the transfer window is a disgrace. That is where I agree with you wholeheartedly, Sam, is for a team of their size, a club of their history, the income and the money they have, to not give Slot 2 or 3 quality players as a BEM, and that's what they really needed. For me, I think it's an abomination. And I think Liverpool fans defending it, like I said earlier, you are doing a disservice to the history and heritage of your football club.
Yeah, but Terry, come on, we all know that. The people that defend them now basically are the people who's on the payroll of the football club. Anyone really who's just objective knows there is nothing to protect anymore. There is nothing to protect anymore.
Every summer, we hear war chest, we hear all the buzzwords, we hear it. When is it going to be a time where some of my fan base need to wake up and be like, these guys are not showing any ambition of possibly challenging or even winning a league title?
No.
Like, it's literally, we're acting like a small club. The fact that we are one of the biggest institutions, we make so much profit, so they can't even use financial fair play to back their argument, because we're one of the most healthiest financially run clubs in the league. And the fact that, we couldn't get Zubimendi because he didn't want us. Cool. We've had so many players.
You should have just spent the 40 million on building mountains in Liverpool. He will come immediately.
Stop it.
I want to put a comment up. Sorry, let me go to this comment, please. This comment says, crazy point, 300k, only the elite of the elite are worth that. Well, this is the thing. You're Liverpool Football Club. It pains me to say this, but you are the elite of the elite. And if you want, one of the most important positions in football is holding midfield, defensive midfield. So if you're approaching a player to be one of the main stars, the spine, the engine room of one of the most elite, prestigious, and historic teams in the world, he has to be the elite of the elite. And if you're not going for the elite of the elite, that's also a problem. So either way you want to paint this, it isn't good enough. And this is, I always hear this thing. Another one here, a Man United fan telling us what we're doing is divisive. I'm out of here.
What's it going to do with what club it's supposed to?
Exactly. I'm talking about. This is the thing. It's like I care more about Liverpool than they do. These excuses are why. I remember doing a stream. Do you remember Morocco Mole that used to come on the show? What was his bloody name? Louis. That Louis used to come on, Liverpool fan. He used to say it, and so many. Oh, it's okay if we don't sign no one this summer. Next year we get Bellingham.
I watched that stream, Terry. I even watched it.
Then we'll get McAllister, and then we'll get this guy, and then you got some of them, but you didn't get Enzo, you didn't get Caicedo, you didn't get Lavia. You can't keep kicking the can down the road. You have to strike while the iron is hot, pay the money, and get the goddamn players in.
Can I also add contract extensions? 3 of the most important players at this football club have 1 year left on their contracts. What have you been doing last summer?
Am I hearing Trent there, Ram?
I'm talking Trent, I'm talking Van Dijk, and I'm talking about Salah. 3 of them running down their contract at the end of the season, and you haven't done anything about it. It's just pure negligence. And going back to the Zubimendi thing, look, I don't care. I think we tried to do as much as we could. Apparently, we offered 3 times the amount that Sociedad gave to him in the end, which is kind of wild. But many players have rejected us. Like we were going to get Zielinski back when Foot Clock first started. We didn't get him. We ended up getting Wijnaldum. Look how that turned out. Brandt was another one. We got Salah, Goetze, Timo Werner, Diogo Jota. Like, we've had so many situations where clubs or players refuse to give us any of their players, and then our backups end up doing a lot better than what they've did. So why can't we go out and get a backup? I don't care if our first choice rejected us.
You don't even have a choice.
Our backup could do better.
You don't even have a choice B right now, Ram. That's the issue.
Apparently, our choice B was Alan Varela, but now Porto are asking for around about 70 to 80 because it's the end of the window.
But this is why I also, even me and Hussein, we even spoke this once on Snapchat. I even told them doing business in August is very risky. Very, very, very risky.
Because... And if I was going to blame someone for that, it would be the club and also it would be the manager.
That's on the club.
No, if it's the case of, we need to assess our players, then what have you been doing the whole of July? June or July?
But Ram, can I ask you a question?
You knew what we're going into. You knew what club we're going into.
Yeah,
you knew what players we needed to get. Why do you need to assess anything? You knew that Sepp Vandenberg wanted to leave. He was asking for game time. Why didn't you get another centre-back? You need... Robertson is declining. Tsimikas is not good enough. Why aren't we getting a left back? You knew that we needed a forward. Granted, we got Chiesa. Why didn't you get him at the start of the window?
But Ram, wouldn't it be?
Let me go to this comment. I'll come back to you in a second. Sorry, this comment here from Maradon who says, so we start overpaying for players and end up like United. But you want to know who you sound like when you say that, Maradona? You got to get the balance right. I know a lot of Gooners. I've got a lot of friends that are Arsenal fans. And when Arsenal started to fall away from title races, sort of 06, 07, 08, or they'd be in them and fall away and things started going wrong, all I ever used to hear was, yeah, but look at the difference in salary we pay compared to you. Look at the difference in how much we spend on transfers compared to you. And all I said to them then, and I stand by it now, is, why are you celebrating failure? It didn't make sense to me. Liverpool fans, if your club is as well run as you say it is, and you're picking the right players, it doesn't matter how much you're paying them. If your club isn't top, Man United's issue is not what we've spent and not
It's
what
how
we've
you've
paid
spent
people. It's how we've spent it and the culture at the football club, picking the right people. And if you are as well run as you make yourselves out to be, Maradona, it's like the Liverpool Arsenal fans sometimes do this, and it gets my goat. I don't want to do what we did with Aubameyang again. But you've told us the club's fixed culturally, so it couldn't happen again like that.
So you can't have it both ways, can you?
Yeah, exactly. You can't say it's fixed and that nasty, selfish, sort of loser mentality culture's gone. But yeah, no, we're not going to pay anybody big bucks because the last time we did it, it fell apart. Well, it fell apart because it was built upon a shit foundation. If you've got a solid foundation, paying the going rate for a top player to be the spine of one of the biggest clubs in the world, that isn't going to ruin you. Where it ruins you is where the players don't want to join your football club, or your clubs run horribly, the manager that doesn't get on with the players, and the system doesn't match what the boardroom want, and you're paying everybody stupid money. But that's not what we're asking. That's not what we're suggesting Liverpool do. So, yeah, sorry. Over you. Sorry. It was someone had their hand up then. I can't remember who it was. Was it Guru? Go on, mate.
Why do I, as a fan, care about how much money the owners are pocketing? As long as we're within the PSR rules and FFP rules, I don't care how much money the club spends. Really. Like, why am I worrying about that? Get the best players possible, win some shit, and then we'll talk about it. You know, it boggles my mind every time people bring up wages and stuff. It's like,
yeah, it ain't your money anyways, bro.
But it's acting
when
as
I
though
was
the
young,
club
this
can't
was never a
recuperate that
talking
money.
point. This was never a talking point.
Yeah, but at the same time, we have more access to information now, and the problem with that kind of mindset is my challenge would be is, okay, cool. What if you spend money on, like, look at Man United? I don't care how much we spend, but we spent 80 million on Anthony. We just spent 75 to 80 on Sancho. We spent 60 on Mason Mount. All players that have not picked pulled up trees, and all players that have affected our purchase to ability.
Yeah,
to
but that's you
purchase
spending the
of
money the
players.
wrong way.
Yeah,
That's
but that's the thing,
signings.
though. But that's the thing. That means I have to care about how my club spend money. So you can't have.
No.
I don't care how my club spends money, and yet be upset about.
No, I never say you shouldn't care about
Context
that.
is so important, though.
No, I
Context
never
is
say you
really
shouldn't care about
important.
that. My whole point is,
not-
if you win stuff, you shouldn't care.
No,
That's my whole point.
I agree. If you drop, if Liverpool were paying him 300 grand a week, and they go on to win the league, the salary bit, nobody talks about that. I agree with that element. I don't care about.
Because I never cared about that myself, Terry. That's just me speaking from my point of view.
And again, the one thing I'd say about being a Real Madrid fan is sometimes it is difficult for you to see things from our perspective because your club hasn't gone through what Arsenal, Man United, and Liverpool have been through in terms of.
Yeah, but that's because the standards have never been lowered that way, Terry. Let's just be honest.
No, I understand that, but I understand where you're coming from, but that's also because you have a monopoly in your country the rest of us can't have.
Terry, come on, we're not the only ones.
Hang on. Let me explain. Let me explain. So, if Man United and Liverpool, they tried to do this 10 years ago, were given the lion's share of TV money, football in England would look different now 10 years later. Even as poorly run as we have been in the last decade, if we had the ability to spend exponentially more than every other team in England, we would just have a squad that they'd find it hard to compete with. I'm actually jealous of what Barcelona and Real Madrid have as a Man United fan, because I look at it through our lens and it's, well, if we were paid the percentage of what the eyes on the Premier League were for, and we were paid that accordingly in that way, we would get such a huge amount of the TV money compared to 2 or 3 other members of the top 6 and then all the other teams. So listen, I agree your standards at your club remain very, very high indeed. There's also another thing that's happened to Real Madrid a number of times over the decades is the government has paid off huge debts that have enabled you to keep on spending, which again, in England, that hasn't happened.
Well, do you think the state has something to do with us as well?
No. Your government, like the Spanish government, has paid off huge debt. So the point is, if your TV money was spread evenly, and the number of times you've been in debt, the government didn't write it off.
No, I understand. You have a point in that way.
Yeah.
You have a point there, but my whole point is, I'm looking at it from my perspective. From my time, what I've seen from the Premier League clubs, I've seen the Manchester clubs alongside Chelsea dominate England.
Yes.
And that's because I don't really see this whole top six that when you say the monopoly, but I don't really see many other clubs doing what's necessary to overtake these clubs. Do you understand what I'm saying?
More than just the money.
Ram, please, 1 second. Sorry, Ram, 1 second. When you say not doing enough, can you expand on that for me so I understand where you're coming from?
Listen, for me as an example, I think if you take City right now as an example, the way they're doing, I just don't think that you look at an Arsenal, for example, right now. I just don't think that they have done enough in these transfer windows to overtake them. I think if they have pushed a little extra way more, I think they would have. I think they could have overtook them. And another thing as well, I think if you look at the year City did the treble, for example, like I think Arsenal, what was it, like 8 points clear something, and they dropped points. What was it, West Ham and Southampton, if I'm not mistaken. Like I think a lot of clubs, this mentality that is a big block, Terry. I think it has destroyed a lot of things as well.
So I understand where you're coming from when you say that, but I want to throw a few things out to you as an example. So when you say do enough, are you talking essentially, I don't want to put words in your mouth, are you talking about spending enough money to catch them and overtake them?
That's one element. That's one element.
I get mentality is another part of it, but we'll get onto the mentality in a moment. Man City make about £826 million a year. Arsenal's income, is currently, and I'm just looking at, it's about 533 million.
How much, sorry?
It's about 533 million pound a year income.
Okay. Yeah.
So City make over 300 million pounds a year more in income than Arsenal. So in terms of spending money, I agree. I think they should have done more this summer. But if it comes about spending money, ambition or no ambition, there is no chance over a 10, 15, 20, 30-year period based on current income that Arsenal could keep outspending or keep outdoing what City are, because there is a big gulfing difference between the two football clubs. So I understand that there's more they can, and this is where it becomes such a nuanced conversation. I'm not stating that they shouldn't have maybe gone a bit bigger this summer and taken a bit more of a risk. But if Arsenal were to spend the same amount of money on signings and wages as City do, within 2 years they go bankrupt. Therefore,
I never say you need to spend that much as them. That's not my point.
I understand, but then this is what will happen if Arsenal get there. And this is why I don't think that there can be this blanket. You've got to do what's necessary. Say Arsenal do spend an extra 100 million this year and they get ahead of City. City then spend more money to a level that Arsenal can't, and then they're out of reach again. And I think that, and we see this in Germany, generally speaking, Bayern Munich. Soon as another German team gets close to them, after time, they take their best players because financially, there's not much they can do. Where I do agree with you, though, is I think that fans just strive for their teams to be as good as possible, but they have to live in the reality of where they are right now. So I think it's right that a Brighton fan wants their club to become the best in England, but they shouldn't judge their team today on not being the best team in England. So I think there's that.
No. Of course, I'm not going to put a pressure on on a Brighton or an Ipswich. That's not my point, because I think that's just going a bit now over the top. I just think these top six clubs, as the Premier League wants to call them, I just think that a lot of these clubs, their fan bases, their mentalities, and all that. I even think their owners. A lot of these clubs just don't do enough. They just don't do enough. And even when you told me this, that if Arsenal was to put another 100 million, then they go and win the league, City then can spend even more. I would say the fact that then they have actually managed to win a league title, the mentality would change. So then you wouldn't have to spend that much afterwards, regardless of if City goes to spend more. Because everything changes.
Yeah. No, I do. Listen, I think there's elements of what you're saying that are right. I've had this debate with other people before, and it's not.
Oh, you mean Lee?
Well, I've had it with Lee. I've had it with a number of our callers in the past. I think there is a balance to it. And again, if you'd have watched those debates with Lee, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that he said that I agree with. You know, I was talking about it on Straight Facts earlier today. A lot of West Ham fans have moaned about the seeding in the Carabao Cup. I think the seeding in the Carabao Cup is great, and I think they should do more of it. I think if you win the Premier League, I've got a new proposal. You play your first 2 or 3 cup games the following season at home. And
but to be fair, Terry, there is one thing, can I just question you one thing? Because Dayo just made a point that if Arsenal do not win anything this season, Arteta's head should be rolled out of the club. Pretty much. Do you not think that when some people say that you can't sack him, because there are still people out there saying he should not be sacked even if he goes trophyless again, and this is for me something very dangerous because the standards just keeps getting lowered.
I agree. That element I agree with. I don't necessarily think if they don't win this year they should sack him. Context is required, but this idea that they should never ever think about not sacking him because they don't subjectively think there's anybody better out there, I think that is the wrong mentality to have as an example. However, I don't know who's hitting their microphone. If, for instance, though, they get 97 points this year, finish 1 point behind City, and they were amazing, there is a challenge to say, well, maybe the new manager comes in and still does well, but does less than 97 points.
But Terry, I can also flip the whole argument and say, but he keeps falling short every single time.
No, and mate, but this is the thing. There is an argument, and that's where the context is needed. However, if this season Arteta finishes 5th, flops, doesn't win any trophies, that's where there isn't any context.
Now, Terry, for me, even if he finishes second and he doesn't win anything, he should be sacked. He should have been sacked for me last season. He should have been sacked.
I'm going to hand this. I understand where you're coming from with your mentality. I'm going to hand it over to Dayo to have his say on that. Go on.
I just want to say this. I'm going to ask you very simple. Now, I'm the one who said that, and the reason I say that, it's very simple for me. You've been given 5 years. You've been given time. You've been invested in. If you don't get it over the line, you should be sacked. But like Terry said, context is key, because I've said this before as well. Everybody keeps on saying Pep Guardiola is the greatest manager of our time in the last decade. Everybody keeps on saying that. And yet, in the same vein, want to put it on Arteta in the last 2 seasons, say, well, you got to go up and beat Pep. Oh, Klopp is such a great manager, but he did it once in 9 years.
Still managed to do
hold on. He did it once in 9 years, but everybody talks about that with greatness and say Klopp did great things at Liverpool, but he did it just once. Now, my thing is this. I'm saying fire him if he doesn't get anything above the line, because this is what he was good for Arsenal. He's built us to this point. Probably another manager with a different type of tactic might be able to get us over the line with a different type of style. That's the only reason I'm saying fire him. But if he is in a position where he's won, say, the FA Cup this year, maybe the Carling Cup, and he comes second by 1 point, or ties the league and they win on goals difference, so I'm not firing him for that.
No. If it's that scenario, then keep it. If it's that scenario, then keep it.
I'm not firing him for that. But if it's a case where we get to the end of the season and the reason, and it has to be the reason we fall short is because of maybe his tactical ineptability, where he wasn't playing the right players, he didn't do the right thing in games, he got excited and carried away, decided, oh, you know what, hey, let me try some new tactics and let me go and drop Ben White in the midfield. If those are the reasons, fire him. But if the team is doing what it's meant to do against the Pep,
I was told by a lot of Gooners for a long time that the club was building like a club structure that would live beyond Arteta. Throughout the course of last season, when there was talk about maybe he's got to be sacked if he doesn't win, a lot of Gooners are talking about, but the club's built in his image. It's his build. If he leaves, we start again.
And that's completely wrong if that's the case.
But that's where the conversation, that's where club fans have got to dig and ask questions. Because if the club is built in his image and he's that close to winning, it makes it a stronger argument to say, well, maybe we keep him because they're not regressing, because everything's built in his image. And it's why I don't believe in that model, whether you're doing well in the moment or not. I think the Sir Alex Fergusons of this world, he was the last of his kind who knew how to run a football club from top to bottom and was able to maintain those standards and that winning mentality. He was the head coach, the sporting director, the president, all rolled into one. That is what he did for the majority of his career. He delegated a lot towards the end as he got You know, he was in his 70s because he was an old man. Modern day football managers, in my opinion, are head coaches only. I think we should have a carpet ban on calling them managers because they're not managers. They don't manage football clubs.
Apart from Pep or something.
I don't think Pep manages. We know Pep doesn't manage the football club. Pep has said on many occasions that when they signed Doku, he basically said, didn't know who he was in terms of, he probably heard the name. He went, but my recruitment team, they do all that for me. They know what types of players I want. The club has a process. They bring me the players and I coach them. And I think that's where my club went wrong for the past 11 years. We kept on hiring managers and going, go on, mate, you run the football club. And all these modern day managers are not trained to do it. They're genuinely not trained to run football clubs. So that's where I would say to those gooners, I don't think you've built the club in Arteta's image. I think he's been integral, but all you need is a manager who has a similar view on football. There'll be differences because you're never going to find a complete match for match. But all you need is someone that looks at your squad and goes, give me that squad and 2 more players and I'll win you the league. What you don't want is a manager that says, I've got to get rid of 90% of your squad, recoach your playing style, change the types of scouts that we have, etc. But yeah,
Terry, I understand that point. I understand that point. But when people keep telling me this whole thing of Pep is here and he is a monster, I understand that. But Fergie was there as well. When you guys were dominating. But Wenger still managed to find a way. Chelsea still managed to find a way. Like, find a way. You can always find a way. Like, for me, the treble season, Terry, that was more Arteta and Arsenal bottling it than Pep also doing his thing. Of course, he did his thing.
Yeah, but hold on. But that same season, Sam, that same season, hold on. That same season, you didn't expect us to challenge. You didn't expect us to challenge in that same season. Nobody expected us to be up there.
But Dayo, come on.
Hold on. So the point is, the second half of the season, suddenly Arsenal are in the driver's seat. And now you all want to lump a club that you said would not make top 6. They said we wouldn't make top 6 before the season started. Pundits everywhere. No, because even we didn't expect to be there. So sometimes you have to realize that.
Okay, Dayo, but if I ask you this.
I do get that. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't want to go back to debate Jamaica months ago. I can't do it mentally. Mentally, I can't do it.
So I haven't heard any Arsenal fan, which is crazy that I'm going to defend you guys here, speak about the fact that there's 2 transfer windows. Like, at the end of the day, everyone's saying we haven't done enough to beat City. You still have time to do enough if you aren't where you need to be. Right now, Arsenal looks like the odds-on favorite to win the league, personally. Like, I have no problem saying that.
Man City are still favorites.
Sure. I mean, again, so if we're going to use the argument that Arsenal hasn't done enough, City hasn't done enough, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, Arsenal still got better. If you bring in Sterling, you subbed out Reiss Nelson for Sterling. That's a huge upgrade. That's also somebody who's going to be able to play for Saka on the right, who's going to be way better than anybody you have there. Like, you have Trossard, who's already shown that he can step in on the left-hand side and be just as good, if not better, than whoever you have there as Martinelli. You've proven you don't need a striker at the moment to score goals. That's facts. Like, that is 100% fact. When people say we need a striker, it's like, well, you score goals. So what else do you need a striker for? You guys score goals in your own way. It is frustrating because my team can't score goals with whoever, but you guys score goals left, right, and center from multiple players. So it is just hilarious to hear everybody like melting down, being like, we haven't done enough. When you've started the season really well, your players are all a year older. They all have more experience. They've all been there now. Your manager has been there now. He knows what he needs to do. It's just so wild to hear people say you haven't done enough when you also will have the January window, which you've bought well in before. I can't remember all your buys in the window, but I know you got Trossard in that window. And at the end of the day, you also forgot that Raya was actually a buy for this year. So you probably had some constraints on spending. You did an obligation and then you bought him this year. So there's probably some constraints, and Arsenal seem to be doing this. We're going to wait for the exact player we want and then we'll splash. Let's say Arteta wins one trophy, not a big one, but you guys are in everything. You lose by 1 point to City next year. Victor Osimhen stays at Napoli. You get him on a free next year. That turns everything you did this year into absolute gold. So it's just, I'm sitting here as I will say, I think we had the best window. I think United had the best window, but I don't think Arsenal had this shambolic window, because when you are that good, when you are seeing what's happening and you are seeing your team basically be a favorite amongst, like, you're literally the favorites amongst City. Like, you're saying they're the favorites. Everybody's saying you, like, that hasn't happened in a long time. I can't see why you're saying, like, why people are like, we need more. At some point, you have to just be happy with what you have.
Cam, when I sound like you, which I did on Egal stream, oh, you're being unrealistic, you're being optimistic, and I'm like, it's not optimism. It's not optimism. And I said this.
A good point.
No, Egal. I said, Egal. Remember, I told you this personally. I said we lost by 1 game last season, 2 points. Please, people, let's stop this nonsense, right? City did not win more games than us last season. They won the trophy. They won 28 games. We won 28 games. It was 28 apiece. The difference is they drew 7 and we drew 5 and lost 5, and they only lost 3. In the games that we should, and I'm going to say it again, in the games that we should not have lost against Aston Villa, if we had defended and not capitulated, which we did in the last 20 minutes, and they scored against us, even though we played better, if we had tied those games, we win on goals difference. So what we need is very little fine margins to be better than City and to sustain it. That's all we need.
Just find it out because I want to move on to a really important subject away from Arsenal for a moment. Go on, go.
Simply put, if you put yourself in Arsenal fan shoes, this morning we had Reiss Nelson and we didn't have Raheem Sterling through the door. So, and we weren't hearing about any signings of Raheem Sterling or Kingsley Coman. We were actually hearing the opposite. So now that we have Raheem Sterling, I'm relatively calm. And I do hear your point about us going in the other window.
You didn't even rate
people wanted to sign a striker this window so Jesus could be utilized out wide. That's the real reason why people are upset. But that's just the main point I want to make.
I want to move on to another subject. Cut the super chats first. Our fans are crying. United gave Scott a farewell video, and so they should. He's an academy player, and I think he's going to kill it in Napoli. I think he'll do very, very well in Italy. Obviously, the breaking news that's come out in the last sort of 10 to 15 minutes is that a second bid or a second proposal was sent in from Chelsea to sign Osimhen. Osimhen has rejected their second offer. And to answer the super chat from Matt, Don has said that this does count as a rejection. Chelsea have been rejected twice now by Osimhen. He will stay at Napoli. He isn't going to Saudi Arabia. How big a miss, KJ, is this for Chelsea? They've signed a lot of attackers and made some good signings this summer, but they still don't have that out-and-out prolific goal scorer after all this investment. Is that a big miss and a mistake by Chelsea?
I think it's one of those ones where if they were aiming to win a trophy, then I think potentially that will stop them from winning a trophy. Maybe not the Conference League. I think they should win that regardless. But like an FA Cup, a Carabao Cup, outside chance of the Premier League that people have been saying, then that is going to miss them. In terms of the hunt for top 4, I don't think a striker is necessarily the be all and end all of their season in terms of top 4 hunting. Sancho is a good addition in terms of depth. You've seen their attack. All it now comes down to is Maresca and the tactics and week in, week out, getting them to perform. Because no longer can Chelsea fans say, "Oh, we've got this player that we don't like and that player we don't like." I've not seen any Chelsea fan complain about their squad now. When Maresca said there's a list of 10 players that are going to be left out, the list of they're going to few are only working with 20 to 25 players. No one really complained about those 25 players. So I think Chelsea fans believe that they're good enough. I think Maresca thinks that these guys are good enough. So now it's just about putting it together on the pitch. So Victor Osimhen, great striker. They're going to miss him. Yeah, if they're going to miss out not signing him in terms of winning the big trophies. But in terms of their season's goal, which is the Conference League and top 4, and maybe a Carabao Cup, I don't think it's a miss at all. And I think they should expect to get those things.
I cannot wait. And I could be wrong, and they may come for me, but I cannot wait to come for Chelsea fans if Sancho doesn't show out. I have no, Sancho for me, he wasn't like one of those players. Like, I have more love for Scott McTominay than I do Sancho at this stage. And at the end of the day, it was so many Chelsea fans. I remember because when we were going for him, they were back. There was kind of conversation about being in for him. And they just couldn't wait to be like, oh, 007, look at how bad he's been, failure. This is back when he was starting with Ollie. And everybody talking about how poor of a signing he was, another flop, who's the biggest flop, Sancho or Havertz, all those conversations were happening. And now there are so many receipts of Chelsea fans saying this is the best. I've seen some people say it's the best signing they've made, which is crazy to me. For me, they got worse. If you got rid of Raheem Sterling and brought in Sancho, there is nobody. I don't think anybody here can argue who the better player is. I don't care what people saying, oh, Sterling was on the downturn. We haven't seen Sancho do anything in the league. And we saw Sterling at least get 15 GA last year. And that was when he was sparingly used in a team that was just a mess. So I love that. Like I said, if they got Victor Osimhen, they would have had a better window than us, but they didn't. And I think now that he's going to be on the free, I don't think they're going to get him next year either, because they've said they're not willing to pay what he wants. If everybody's talking about this whole Clear Lake ambition, and this was the time to show it. This, for me, when Chelsea has the money, this would have been the time to be like, you know what, guess what? We'll spend the money. But they decided to do whatever they're going to do and now go without a striker again. And let's see if these wingers that show up every now and then are going to give them the goals that they need. Just because you get a hat trick here and there in the first few games against an easy team does not mean things have completely changed. So I'm looking forward to it. I will be keeping a close eye on that team this year. And if they're good, I'll say cool, I was wrong, because I have no problem.
I want to ask a question about that. We've had a number of debates on the football terrace over the past maybe 12 months. There's all this talk about on camera and of course in our group chats as well with the comment sections about the wage structure at Chelsea, and a lot of their own fans and a lot of rivals have said this idea of not kind of going above, not giving anybody new to the club more than say 150 to 160 a week. I remember seeing the likes of Ches and Don kind of say that this has been debunked and they are paying more than that, because Tosin got 160, I think they said. It actually turns out he's on 120 according to a number of the websites I've been on. But there was a lot of debate that having that kind of structure is fine. I think when you're signing these young up and coming players, you put them on longer contracts, lower money, and you push and incentivize them through bonuses and through potential pay rises to keep performing and getting better. And I kind of like that, because I think my club, we've given too many young up and coming players too big a salary too soon. But the stumbling block is you're trying to sign somebody with the profile, the hype, and the achievements of an Osimhen, or maybe next summer someone even bigger and better. They're not coming for 120, 130, 140, 150 a week in the modern day game. I
got to pay them big dough. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that for me, again, I think Chelsea and this is where I think this is what I want for sort of the football fan content world, is more balance. And I think Tosin and Dewsbury Hall are decent signings. I think Neto, when he's fit, will be great. I think Sancho will work for them. I think they've made some really good signings. At the same time, I still think that means you can question this £150,000 a week-ish cap, because the only reason they didn't sign someone who I think is a top-class striker is because they weren't prepared to give him the going weight wages. And the maddest thing about that is that Chelsea fans would have laughed at Liverpool in the past for not doing that. All of us have laughed at the likes of Tottenham and Arsenal in the past for not paying the going rate of players. Now, Chelsea's new policy is not to do it. Man United have got a wage cap. But I would be fuming if we applied that wage cap to an Erling Haaland, if we applied that wage cap to somebody of Osimhen's level or above. I don't think the squad would have a problem. You sign someone like him, you sign somebody like, let's just say Tchouameni's available in the summer. Let's just say he is, right? Because he's a top player. Or Rodrigo's available in the summer for one reason or another. No one in the Chelsea squad, one in the Chelsea squad, nobody in the Man United squad is going to be like, how dare they pay him £250,000, £300,000 a week? They're going to know who that player is, their profile, their marketability, their success, their overarching quality. They're not going to sit there and moan about it. So I don't understand the defending of these policies.
Now, Terry, the funny thing is as well, the point is every single team that actually wins and keeps stacking up these trophies always pay the big dough for these players in wages as well.
Not only that, though, those teams are usually playing the Champions League and they're not rebuilding a whole squad that was already on crazy wages. The whole reason why I think they're doing this is because they're currently not in the Champions League. They're in the Conference League. They're not going to be paying Champions League money for players when they're in the Conference League. But
they did that. But they were in the Champions League when they bought the club. They still implemented that policy. I don't even think that's going to matter. I'll be real.
No, I think the main thing that has to do with is the stage that the club is currently in. If they were back in the Champions League and they finished 4th last year, I think they get Osimhen.
I'll tell you what stage they're in. They are a club that is sailing close to the PSR win. They are very, very close to those limits. We know they are because they've had to sell off assets. And there isn't a business known to man in the Western world, because I can't speak for other parts of the, in other parts of the world, that sells off their assets to themselves or other people for any other reason than they've got some financial problems. It's just the
that's smart business.
But Jerry, if they were in the Champions League,
no, it's smart. Well, it isn't. Hang on, Egal, sorry, it isn't, Sam. It's a smart way of solving a problem, but you can't ignore the reason that you're there as an example.
No, of course. I'm not saying that, but to solve the
solution to a it's a good financial solution to a poor football problem. And I think that's what's going on right now at Chelsea. Because again, the one thing I would say, look, they've got a chance of top 4 this year. But I think a player like Osimhen, of course, on paper, he's got to deliver. If he comes in and delivers at his optimum best, I think Chelsea make the top 4. I think he
they
can
should
score them
win a trophy, not just.
I agree, and this is where it becomes. Listen, and we could all be wrong about this. If they miss out on the Champions League, they won't therefore have the money next year to sign someone like him. Where if they'd have taken the risk and given him the money and made the Champions League, then all's well ends well. And I think there comes a point where you've got to slightly gamble. Gav here, who's a Chelsea fan, says we're not paying Champions League wages unless we're in the Champions League. He wasn't prepared for the non-Champions League wage reduction. It is what it is.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying. But I get you saying it is what it is. But are you as a Chelsea fan happy about that?
Yeah, that's not an excuse.
Do you think you'll still get into the Champions League without Champions League quality players in the attack? Like that's the or goal scorers in the attack. That's more the question, I suppose. If you're a Chelsea fan and you believe you're still going to make it regardless, then I suppose it's no sweat off your sack.
But Terry,
that ain't even an excuse. Attack is their problem.
Sorry, Egal.
Defense is their biggest problem.
You think Chelsea defense?
Yeah, Chelsea's defense to me is their biggest issue. They can't defend, Harry. From the kind of goals that they're conceding, these are sloppy goals. One midfielder taking the ball off a midfielder and then immediately going to the back line, and nobody's coming to take the ball off him, and immediately getting the shot off for a goal. And the keeper can't save a shot for his life. So not only do they have a situation where they have young, inexperienced defenders, a midfield that is not necessarily clicking all the time and is susceptible to a counter. They also have a goalkeeper who can't save 3 shots in a row. So their whole defensive shape is a mess. They're going to have to score a bunch of 4-3s every single game whenever they're up against a decent attack.
Well, that's the gamble they're willing to take this season, because I don't think they see themselves as being title contenders. Maybe some Chelsea fans, but not the club itself. And maybe they're saying, look, maybe next season is the when we're going to spend all the money on all the big defenders that we need, and then maybe some extra midfielders. But in terms of attacking power, they're looking like, remember when Liverpool and Klopp did their season when they had Firmino, Salah, Mane for the first year all together, scoring all these goals.
But KG, they couldn't defend to save their lives.
Yeah, exactly. My point is, they still had a building block from that point where it's like, we know we can attack now. Let's work on the defense and try and win the league. Maybe Chelsea are looking at it as like, let's just get all these attackers that we need. They're all young enough to be there for 3, 4, 5 years, and then we can build the defense and the goalkeeper after this season. Yeah. That's the only way.
Right. So
I'm going to jump into
our parking lot to ourselves next year. And then, we'll go for the defense.
There's a few more super chats here. First of all, Safe here says, KJ agrees Safe Man United had a better transfer window. No decent striker, midfielder, weak. I believe that Ineos have bad transfer. Chelsea, better transfer window than Man U. I'm angry in Ineos. Yeah, but that's because you wanted Donald Trump to buy the football club. That's why you're angry. So we get that. Matt here says Eddie Nketiah gets the number 9 shirt for Crystal Palace. I've given him plenty of slack, but he is a true. Doesn't make sense. You either give him anyway. Slack is leeway. Slack is a good thing, but he's such a true professional. Never complains. Slack, I think. Yeah, it must be flack. Yeah, it must be.
Yeah, of course, he's not going to moan. Look at the money he's earning.
Sterling. Terry, Sterling's at the training ground.
Yeah, Sterling's done, bruv. You Sterling is look at Egal trying to smile now.
There he is. There's the Egal I was
At
looking
this
for.
point,
Yeah.
you know, Terry, when you need something, you're willing to take anything at a certain point.
The fact that
Come outside, Tottenham fans. Where are you?
Yeah, there's
We've
still
got-
shit, anyways.
We've got our Egal back. We've got our Egal back.
I'm happy we finally got an attacker through. It took the final day of the window, the final hour of the window, but at least we got Raheem Sterling, who can at least cover in many different positions and benefit us. I didn't want him initially. I didn't think he was that good at Chelsea, but if he comes to Arsenal and does well,
out of all the attackers, you got him. Fuck.
No, but
Sam, I'm going to say this again. Bro. I think it's
we tried to get Nico Williams. It didn't work.
Egal, hold on.
Yeah,
forget Nico Williams. That wasn't going to happen.
The only player out there you can get, my broski.
No, listen, Sam. You can paint this picture however you want, the rhetoric however you want to paint it, right? You can do revision on this history and say Raheem Sterling hasn't played. No. I say Raheem Sterling hasn't. I know. I'm just saying Raheem Sterling hasn't played well for the last couple of seasons at Chelsea. But you can say that Chelsea itself as a club was run badly, and everybody except for Cole Palmer was terrible, literally. So
you want me to be honest with you?
No. So hold on. I'm not gassing Sterling up. I'm saying we've emptied our front line. We've gotten rid of players like Eddie Nketiah. Reiss Nelson is out. Fabio Vieira is on loan. Smith-Rowe is out. We need bodies. At least we have a player who has Prem experience. He's coming to a club that is at least better run than it used to be. Arsenal is way better run than it used to be. There's a lot more stability.
I agree.
So hopefully having that player and not going without is way better than saying, oh, well, let's wait till January to fill up the position because one injury to our front line and we're done.
No, Dayo, I understand that. I understand that. But my point is, Dayo, I think Sterling is one of these players. I think Pep, for me, masked him as a player. I don't really rate Sterling that highly. I think Pep just found a way to make this guy look much better than what he actually is. Because I think when he's outside of Pep, I don't think he's been that good.
But what about
that's the thing? But he worked.
Sorry. But what about how good he was at Liverpool? Because in that season where they nearly won the Premier League before he got his move, he was only 18, 19 years old, but he was sensational.
That's why he won.
No, I understand that.
And for England, and
consistent level.
He was England's best player for 3 years. I don't know.
Yeah, he's great for England.
Let's do some more of these super chats.
Really
Arsenal have addressed our problem area. Sorry, I've already done that one from earlier on today. Thank you, Anthony. The Osimhen deal is stalling because Chelsea are using everything in their might to free up wages with loans, Chalobah, Sterling to make one final push. Nico Williams would have won us the league, but loaning Sterling, we had a 2 out of 10 transfer window. Arsenal and Arsenal fans will never change. Jesus Christ, our fan base is the most emotional I've ever heard, consistently crying. Definitely not a great window for us, but relax for fuck's sake. So dramatic. That's obviously from an Arsenal fan. Whoever decided to sign Havertz is to blame. Pure stunk cost. Arsenal needed an 8, Moreno, and still need a striker. An awful decision, in my opinion. This here says, Ra, we came back to haunt Chelsea and City. Mark my words, Chelsea are run like a brothel. You need to explain what you mean by that. Osimhen and Tony wanted huge wages. We don't have. Dayo, unblock your bias ears and enough talking. You defend our club to the death, but man, you've got to listen to other opinions. Shit window need more, is what Tony says. Gav says, hoping for top 4, but defo sloppy. So go on, you can respond to that, mate. Sorry, go on. I thought you were going to, and then you didn't.
Tony,
sorry.
I was like, Tony, thank you for the super chat. That's my opinion. I've heard their opinion. I don't have to agree with it. And if I choose to defend my club positively and look at the things that we have now and what we can change and point them out and criticize them when I need to criticize them and not just be emotional about how I address everything that they do, like you guys are, which is, the club is shit. I mean, it's to each their own. That's my opinion. I think we're a team that we're one game short of winning last season, and we just needed a few pieces, a better squad depth than what we had from last season. This season, guess who's coming off the bench? If we're taking out a Timber, we're bringing in a Calafiori. If we're taking out a Reiss, we can bring in a Marino. If we're taking out a Bukayo Saka, we're bringing in Gabriel Jesus. We're not bringing Eddie Nketiah. We're not bringing Fabio Vieira, people who had issues. So, hey, For me, I think we have a better squad. It's thinner, but I think it's better quality. And
One
I think
second,
we can go on
Terry.
to do
I
it
don't
this
think
season.
this is
So
fair.
peace.
To say me and Dayo do not criticize the club is ridiculous.
Oh no. Hey,
I mean, call it out. I mean, don't come to me. I didn't write it.
That's
To be
your
fair,
opinion.
Dayo
I'm saying you can back us on that. It's not everything is not.
Oh,
Everything
no,
To be
no,
fair,
no,
Dayo
yeah,
did say he would sack Arteta if he didn't win anything. To be fair, so
Exactly.
that's not really,
I
that's not really true.
criticize the club where I need to
Yeah,
criticize the
that's
club,
not
but
really
I'm
true.
I
not.
feel like
I'm
people
not.
judge you only off small.
No, the thing is, I'm not shallow about how I address Arsenal. I when I was on your screen, what did I say, Egal? I picked out all the things that were issues and I addressed them, and I criticized the club for that. When I was done with that, I picked out all the things that I thought would be positives for this season, and I thought that we can use our strengths and said this is what we need to do if we need to go on to Peep City to win the league. How can those two things not coexist? I think it's because people don't have enough to comprehend themselves. They can only think in one track way. So I don't blame them.
You know what? We got the best we could do in a short time. And honestly, the window closing today, we got Raheem Sterling. We weren't going to get Nico Williams. We weren't going to get a striker. They told us this from time. So I don't know why people are still talking about strikers. It's clear that we weren't going to get a striker this window, as all the reports were about a winger. And we finally got somebody in. It's not the best window. Nobody's sitting here saying it's a 10 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 6 out of 10. But really and truly, it's decent.
Hey, Gail, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
If I told you before the window to take Raheem Sterling, would you have taken him? Yes or no?
No, because it's not ambitious. But obviously, I wanted a more ambitious signing. But now that you're here, you have to settle with what you've got.
Yeah, but that is why I don't understand. Why are you settling for it though? Why? Are
Because
you
the window's
settling for it? Why are you
closing
not pushing back
in
on
2
them?
minutes.
No, I understand, but why are you not pushing back on them and making it clear that listen?
Because I still think this is an improvement.
Egal has been pushing back. He's just now come to acceptance. I think here's the thing. You're a Real Madrid fan, so again, you don't probably
Yeah, he has completely different
acceptance in
Oh,
life.
Egal doesn't understand my son.
Acceptance in football needs to be had as fans. Guess what? We don't run the clubs. We don't own the clubs. We don't do all the deals. So as much as we would want a player,
But you're the lifeblood of the club.
We
That
are
is
the
a fact,
lifeblood
though.
of the club. But at some point, you can't just always be angry. You always can't be mad. You always can't be. You can't. Somebody just have to accept.
The thing is as well. I would say this. I do get where you're coming from, Sam. I do. But again, you're looking at this through Real Madrid lens. Richest club in the world, most successful club in the world.
I'm
never
sorry,
had a
Terry,
down.
but I'm just keeping it consistent, bro.
No,
It's
no,
just-
no. But you are looking at it from your lens. The problem is, do you know why Arsenal can't act like Real Madrid? And this is going to annoy our Arsenal fans. They are not and never have been anywhere near you. So as much as I get some Arsenal fans want to have Real Madrid's mentality and outlook and behavior, but you've got to get to that level first before you can demand that consistent. It's a little bit
Yeah, I
chicken
agree,
and
I
egg
agree.
for me. It's a little bit
No,
chicken and egg.
I agree, but can I
do
challenge on
think-
this?
yeah.
Can I
Yeah,
challenge
go
on this thing?
Go on.
Do you not think, because this is something I usually say. I usually call Chelsea my little brothers under Abramovich. Would you not say that they acted like me when that guy was owning that football club? Because I didn't see much of a difference.
So this is what I would say with the Roman conversation, and it's a study that's interesting. You look at the first 10 years before FFP came in. That is where the majority of the domestic trophies, the league titles, and the first Champions League was won. You look at the amount of trophies after that point when they weren't able to spend whatever they wanted, that success started to slow down. So when Chelsea, and they did even above Man United, they had the financial monopoly in England for the vast majority of a decade until City had their money, and City had 3 years before FFP came in. That's why they were able to do that as an example. As
To be
soon
fair, they still
as-
won stuff afterwards.
They did, but that's because of what was built on that foundation of being able to spend. That was built based on a core that had already been built to that money. If Chelsea would have been taken over by Roman in the same way that Newcastle had been taken over with financial restraints, in my opinion, Chelsea's first decade under Roman Abramovich would have looked very different, because they were just what they were doing. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I was a grown up when this happened. It was just none of us as football fans could believe what we were seeing. Man United spent big. Other teams spent big, but we were like Real Madrid, juggernauts. Chelsea were going out and spending, and 30 million back then was stupid money. They were dropping 27 million here on Scott Parker, 28 million there on Sean Wright-Phillips. No one could believe what they were seeing. This man run up 1.3 billion pound of debt that he, of course, wrote off. it's a different scenario. Arsenal don't have the money. The only reason they could behave like Real Madrid is because at that point they had an owner that was then they allowed to spend like Real Madrid. And that's where the money is such a key component in everything that's going on. I think we've got to get the balance. So the transfer window is now shut. We know that Raheem Sterling is having his medical. The clubs are working on the documents, but we know that deal's going through, I think. This year says controversial, but barring McAllister, Alisson, Trent, Van Dijk, and Salah, half a team, the squad is so average overall. Slots left to work, absolute wonders.
True.
Thank you, Jimmy. It's not that the club is built in his image. It's that we've lost our image, and he's a big part of rebuilding Arsenal, the institution. I get that. Yeah. But there comes a point where you have to, and this is where I agree with the likes of Sam and about the standards and winning. There comes a point where you have to go, okay, keeps getting us really close. We have to, and we had a guy, I can't remember who the panelist was towards the end of last season. And he just made a really good point. He was so honest. I loved it. He just said, I want us to change managers now. And a lot of us questioned him, said, well, what if you go backwards? And he just said, I'm prepared to take that risk. And I just thought, he's not sitting there going, I've got all the answers. This is definitely going to work. We're definitely going to get better. He understands they might go backward, but he wanted to take the risk. I want to say that the guy's name was Sam, or it might have been Paddy.
I'm not willing to take that risk because I think Mikel Arteta is so close to getting us over the line. I view it as almost like a guy digging for gold, and he's literally about to break that threshold, but everyone's telling him there's nothing there. Go turn back. That's how it feels.
It would be wild if you sacked him and then Pep left the Prem.
What?
It'd be pretty wild if you guys sacked him and then Pep left that same year.
And then he ends up at Man City.
Oh, hang on, guys. Big turn of events at Arsenal. Reiss Nelson is now on his way to Fulham rather than Ipswich.
Amazing for him.
Two players to Fulham then.
Yes, we have four there. We have Smith Rowe, Alex Iwobi, Leno, and now Thing.
What's this other guy's name? Okay, no, he's at Newcastle. Sorry, my bad.
Anyways, do you know what's funny? It's like that's decent business for I mean, again, that's better for Reiss Nelson because that almost guarantees him Premier League football again next year.
Sorry, can I ask you a question?
Yes, of course you can, Sam.
Do you not think it's ridiculous? It's the same thing Poch was at Tottenham, the nearly man. I see Arteta right now the same way, the nearly man, but he's not there to quite get them over the line. So, it's the same thing I was saying with Poch.
But this is the thing. That's your subjectivity versus Egal's subjectivity. I think both hold merit. If in terms of Egal's opinion, if Egal truly believes he's going to get over the line, he's going to become this great manager, I totally understand why he's got faith in him. You don't believe. You think he's always going to be the nearly man. So it makes sense.
And I'm basing that off of the things of the previous seasons as well.
Yeah, but you're not basing it off of what Arsenal has been and what he's done. Because look, I know the club. 2004, 2003, 2002. I've been there, right? So I'm older. So I've watched the Invincibles. I've been to Highbury. I know this club, and then I see the demise of the club, and I see all of a sudden we now have a system that is bringing us back to where we're in conversations. I would not be sitting on this panel talking right now if not for the work that has been done in Arsenal over the last 5 years.
To be fair, I was hearing these conversations even when Leicester won the league. I was hearing you guys in this conversation even back then.
No. But so my point is, I think because Arsenal became a banter club, it's easy for people to just, even right now, when Arsenal is playing good football, when Arsenal is doing very, very well as regards to the football, maybe no silverware yet. Everything Arsenal did last season in another league, we win the league. In another country, in another league, we win the league. The fact that it's become this hard to win the league because of Man City, and we're the only people who have been pushing them this close for the last 2 seasons, says a lot as well. Says a lot about a manager who had no experience, came into a club like Arsenal, and has done what he has done.
No, I understand that.
And guys, just because we're getting close to the end of the show, listen, I think both your points, as I'm saying, I think they both hold merit. And that's why, listen, their opinions, they're based on subjectivity. So they both could be right and they both could be wrong. And that isn't me sitting on the fence. It's why I've said for so many shows now, the polarization of fans of you're a scumbag if you think Arteta should be given another year, versus equally, you're a scumbag if you think Arteta should be sacked. I think there's merit in both arguments. What's important for Arsenal fans is to listen to each other, understand each other, empathize, and then essentially put your any of your frustrations towards your club trying to get better. That is where it should be, not at each other most of the time.
Eric, can I just say one final thing? Before
Just
one thing, because I remember on some streams you've been saying this whole thing of if you finish, 8th and 5th, and then second, you see that as progression in your opinion. I assume,
based on where they were when it first started.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
For me, I don't really see that as progression unless you go up and then you start and you win an odd cup here and there alongside it. Because I just think if you just finish higher league position, but you keep not winning anything every season, for me that really ain't progression because you're still losing at the end of the day. You're still not winning.
I understand. Again, I understand that. I understand that point of view, but I understand it if you're going from 12th to 10th to 8th to 11th to 7th to 12th. You're kind of just teetering around mid-table. But to go from being high mid-table to top 4 contending to genuinely title contending, being a title contending team makes you a very different outfit to a mid-table team, even though you're both still losers in the eyes of the league. And we'd all, unless you're the team that's winning the league, you'd all rather be a title contender than the team in mid-table. So I do.
It doesn't have to be the league you can just win. There are multiple other things.
I understand that, but there is the league. In my opinion, your league form and where you are as a league team is the ultimate barometer of how good or bad you are.
You mean it's your bread and butter? Is that what you're saying?
We have seen teams get relegated and win trophies. So I think there is an element there where you have to look at league positions. But where I do agree with you is there comes a point where that progression and even treading water isn't enough. There comes a point where I do think you have to bite the bullet and go, we've got a risk going backwards in trying to go forward. And that's where the gentleman who came on, his name was Connor. I do agree with that. The difference being between maybe you, me, Dayo, Egal, and KJ, we don't even all support Arsenal, is we may all have a different point in time when we think is the right time to, what's the phrase they're using in card games? Stick or twist. We all might think, oh, I'm gonna stick for a few more rounds. You might think, no, I'm twisted now, it's gonna work. And that's where I think what's more important to listen to is people's logic. And again, I've done a lot of shows with a lot of different people, and so often people are fighting over, well, you want to keep the manager, I don't. That's ridiculous. People listen to respond and not to understand. And I got taught this at work years ago, and I loved it. It stuck with me ever since. Ask the why is more important than the what. Why do you think what you think, as opposed to what do you think? Because the answer's in the logic. And at the very least, you don't have to agree, but at least you can understand where they're coming from. And I think that that's the most important thing when it comes to fan discourse on this. Because, listen, we could take your action, Sam, as Man United fans this year, sack the manager because you say we haven't progressed. The new manager comes in and we go backwards. It doesn't mean
it can't get more backwards than what Ten Hag's got.
But you're taking what I'm saying literally rather than hypothetically. The point is, we could go backwards. That my point was going to be, that doesn't make you wrong for thinking the previous manager should have been sacked.
No, I get that. But if you say the club is run better, which I agree, I think Ineos will take it back up there. But if the club is that much run better that you think it's compared to the previous regime, you should have faith that even if they sack the manager, I
do. But the point is, let's say Ten Hag deserves to get sacked. Let's say that Arteta deserves to be sacked. We could be right in that. Doesn't mean the next person makes us better. However, that doesn't and this is what I'm saying about being objective. That doesn't make your call for the previous manager to be sacked wrong. When Wenger had to go from Arsenal, just because Unai Emery fouled, didn't make it wrong to sack
that's their fault for not appointing the right guy afterwards.
Arsene Wenger. The problem is too many of these conversations are basic. Let's say Lee Gunners listen to, they get rid of Arteta, they hire Alonso. Let's just say Lee says he's got to go. Doesn't win nothing this year. Lee and Dayo both say we've got to sack him. Edu says, I watched both your streams, boys. I'm sacking him. We're going to get Alonso. They're rubbing their hands together. Back-to-back invincible Bundesliga champions. Fucking yes, that's our new manager. He comes in and they finish 8th, right? It doesn't mean they were necessarily wrong for sacking Arteta because maybe he had to go. The problem
is Alonso was a wrong appointment.
The problem with football fans is we focus on what people say rather than their logic behind it. And that's what we lose ourselves in so often, in my opinion. Maradon here says Terry and his 25% owners. It's great. Cheers, Maradon.
What the hell what does that even mean?
It mean well, Ineos only own more than 25% of us. Actually, they're the majority single shareholder, but they run the football operations. That don't matter. Look, people, it is the end of the show now.
Pick up that comment, by the way. Pick up Arno with that comment.
It's the end of the show. I want to say a big thank you to every single. I've got the super chat. It says we are left with Ahmad, Rashi, Garnacho, and Anthony. Selling Sancho without a profile replacement is a travesty. Keep Ten Hag.
Can I speak on that? I've been waiting for this super chat.
Yeah, go on.
This one, because I haven't done the prop that I meant to come on and do, which was Ineos absolutely cooked this summer. Like, we cannot deny what they did, and a lot of people will forget because a lot of the moves were under the radar in a sense. Man, we got rid of Donny van de Beek. From the day that dude stepped into a United shirt, he was absolutely garbage. I don't care what anybody says. A lot of people tried to prop him up, but if you saw the games, he wasn't meant for the Prem, and he just struggled with confidence, which is something you can't have at our club. We got rid of Scott, who was a pure profit sale. At the end of the day, he was a great servant for us, but we no longer needed him or his services. We needed a proper midfielder, and we brought in Ugarte. We got rid of Palestri, made sure there was a sell-on clause. We got rid of a few other kids that I don't really know much about with sell-on clauses. We got rid of Hannibal. Another surplus to requirements player that didn't make sense to buy. We got rid of who I don't like to speak about, who's going to give us an amazing sell-on clause because he's already scoring goals like crazy, and we know the rest of the football world is not moral. So someone's going to buy him for a shit ton of money in the future, and we're going to get that money too. We completely revamped our defense with the lit Euro and Maserati, Xerxes. Like, at the end of the day, Ineos has come in, and none of these players are on crazy money. None of these buys were where you're like, what are you doing? The Euro one was a complete masterclass. We sat back and we beat some of the biggest clubs in the world to a player who has prodigious talent at the end of the day. I'm not going to say he's going to be, but he has that talent, and everybody was talking about it. Before he signed with United, everybody was talking about him as a priority, like as a prodigy. He's got the Virgil van Dijk in him. He's going to be great. He signs with United, everyone's like, oh, well, yeah, he's shit, because that's how we're seeing right now, and that's fine. So for me, when you look at getting rid of Sancho to the point that guy was making, all it does is allow for the players we have here that we have faith in Garnacho and Ahmad to ensure that they are going to play as many possible minutes as possible this year. There's not going to be a Sancho who's going to maybe be lurking in the background and everyone's going to say, why don't we try Sancho? We can't. He's gone. And I'm so happy for that, because that also causes dissension within the club when you have so much noise and people saying, let's just say Ahmad or Garnacho have bad games. Like we see with Rashi, people would be saying Sancho should be playing. Sancho should be playing. We know that. Now he's gone. That's a plus for me. That's one of those addition by subtraction. So either way, unbelievable window by United this summer. I think. I don't know on paper. I don't know what it's going to turn into. These players could also know, but
I hear you on that. Just before we leave, a big update. Broja's move to Ipswich is off because Everton have just submitted a last-minute bid with a loan with obligation to agree, and it's here. The official. Here we go. Raheem Sterling. Here we go. He is a Arsenal player. That is done, dusted, and it is over the line right at the end. Literally, the last part of the stream, the here we go arrives here. Raheem Sterling to Arsenal. Here we go. Loan move from Chelsea. No word yet on how much of the salary Arsenal are going to be paying. I hope for some Arsenal fans' sake, it's a small amount. Because for some Arsenal fans that were on the show at the beginning 3 hours ago, if they're paying like 250 grand, 300 grand's worth, it will go off. But that is all done and dusted. Look, people, we are going to be back tomorrow, obviously with the games that are going to be on. This stream actually is going to take you through to Dom Hassan's channel. I still call it This Is Football, but it's just called Dom Hassan TV now. I'm surprised he didn't call it Don Talks Football. That's what everybody does. The amount of people that talk football now is crazy. I'm like, be more creative, people. Rather than anything else. So get yourselves across to Hassan's channel and go and support him over there. We're back tomorrow with match reactions and much, much more for you. But I'm going to go and take myself to bed now. It's been a long old day. Listen, everybody, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.